Hello and welcome to week 5 of our recap of New Jersey versus Paul Caneiro. Welcome in, everybody. I'm going to bring our co-host Claire Bear from Claire View up on the stage. Hello, Claire. How are you?
I'm good. I'm almost in a trial coma, though. I have to warn you, because wow.
I know, like my head is spinning right now. Holy smokes. What a week. We say that every week, but truly this one was what a week. Where do you want to start? Start on Monday, start today, do a high level, and then we can dive deeper. What do you
let
want to do?
let let's go to Monday, right? Because we actually had somebody besides Monica Marcelone, for the whole day. Let's just but even on Monday, she stole the show, did she not?
She did. She really did. She really did. So day 16 started with, okay, so the defense started the week before, right? They started, let's see, the state rested on the 6th, then they broke for the weekend, and then day 16, which was the 9th, that was Monday. Oh, no, wait, I'm sorry. The defense did get in. Yeah.
The defense did start in
Right. On
like
Friday. Yeah. Go ahead.
So today's day 19, right? And today's
Yes.
Thursday.
Yeah.
So on Monday, she actually brought in a couple of more witnesses, right?
Yes. So they started with 4 character witnesses last Friday, and then they were done by lunchtime, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Then they brought in Dr. Carl Reich, who is a quote unquote DNA expert, even though he said he was not. He said he wasn't a DNA expert.
How do you like that? They go, so you consider yourself an expert? He goes, oh, I wouldn't consider myself an expert. I'm like, well, what the hell are you doing here?
I know, but he was court approved. He was court approved. He has testified before, but he's not a DNA expert. He doesn't use Star Mix because they don't have the software. But then he was telling them how Star Mix works.
Yeah. How do you feel about that? He doesn't use it, and he has an absolute thing against it. They don't use it, in his lab, obviously because they can't afford it because Star Mix. Then he has to admit to the state. And he said this, and I wrote it down and I underlined it 4 times. This really stood out to me. He actually said to the state in cross, it is the standard for this type of testing. It is the standard. It cornered the market.
Yeah.
It has the market. It's the gold star. He was referring that it is the one you use if you're going to be doing this kind of testing. And I'm like, who's paying you, dude? Because I know defense pays for their expert witnesses.
Yeah.
And they had to go all over the country to look for him because they had to go far and wide to find the guy.
Yeah.
Because nobody just a little bit of history because I love new technology. That's my thing with the legal stuff in the court.
Right.
This particular technology, when it comes up is new, has never been kicked out of a single court in the United States. Every time they have a hearing, it passes, boom, comes in and becomes the standard. So they had to go far and wide to find somebody. And this is what they got. A guy who says he's not an expert, a guy who doesn't use the software in his laboratory. And by the way, this man doesn't even touch DNA anymore. He's a paper pushing manager.
Yep.
In the HR department, and that was their expert witness. I knew they were in trouble right there. I was like, that's it. What are you doing, defense? I mean, they didn't put out I think they know he's guilty. I think they actually knew it, and they weren't going to waste any more time or effort on it. I think something changed. Something definitely. I have to give Monica Marcelone credit. She really believes in the law that everybody deserves the best defense that you could possibly get. But they definitely didn't put it out in expert witnesses.
No,
definitely did not.
I thought for sure. Okay, so after that was Caitlyn Caneiro, and then that we'll talk about that in a second.
Oh,
because that
was. Do you have a bleep button? Like, you, because you might have to mute some of my comments when it comes to Caitlyn Caneiro.
You're going to have to self-edit yourself there. You'll have to self-beep yourself.
I'll do my best. I don't mean to offend anybody, but when people with all intent, try to perjure themselves on the stand because they have a problem. Well,
yeah.
Yeah.
So okay, so let's hold on her for a second. So they had they being the defense, they had 4 basically character witnesses, which were his neighbors and friends that he's known for decades, on Friday. Then they come back with not an expert, not a DNA expert, but he's talking all about DNA. And then they have Caitlyn, and that day ends really fun and weird, and we'll talk about that. And then they bring her back, and then Marissa, who's the other daughter, who's on for like a hot second. Like I was literally typing her name, and she's already off the stand.
Exactly. By the time I could decide if there was 2 R's or 2 S's, like exactly same, she was gone.
And she's gone. So as far as like countering anything that the state, and again, defense doesn't have to prove anything. It's not their burden. I get that. But as far as, how would you rank this as far as a defense? Would you, from 0 being the lowest to 10 being the highest, how would you rate this defense in all the trials you've watched?
Do you mean the defense itself or the defense's witnesses?
Their witnesses, their case, the defense's case.
Yeah, they shouldn't have even bothered, because like, I don't want to sound like I'm all pro prosecution here, but man, those crosses, Christopher Decker, just everything. He has a way of proving what you don't know, which really resounds with the jury, I think. I mean, he tore apart the with just a couple of questions. He actually showed that they were just friends. They know nothing about what's really going on with Paul, and actually made Paul come off like he was leading a double life, because the jury has already heard all this evidence against him. They know he's stole money. Like, they know he had an affair on his wife and he wasn't living home. And here is these people that have known him 15, 30 years. And they're like, I don't know what's going on. They're like, okay, so here we go. So now Paul looks like a murdering sociopath. Thank you very much, defense team. Like, good job. Christopher Decker was brutal with that. And Nicole, when it comes to Caitlyn Caneiro and Nicole Wallace, like, at the end, Caitlyn's like looking like a deer in headlights, as she should, because she's definitely committing perjury on the stand willfully. How do you say, like, oh, I heard my dad exclaim loudly when he hurt his hand, like, we're just going to get rid of everything that makes him look bad. And then here's the video where you knew where the DVR was, you knew where this was. You can't remember anything from that day except for your dad exclaiming, how hurt he was. But here you are, and your dad's actually looking to you. And oh, by the way, he's the tech genius, right? And he's looking to you where the DVR is. Like, what? Like, she was so adamant to go. Like, they kept me there. They had me so upset. She just wanted to do what she could to damage law enforcement, and just forgetting the fact, like, well, there was a fire at the other house and like 4 people died, and your father thought that everybody might be targeted. Like, you don't think they were keeping you there for your own safety till they figured out what's going on? You don't think that's a reasonable thing to do? But she's like adamantly, no, they're personally attacking me and holding me there against my will to try to entice a statement. It actually made her look more guilty, like she knew more. Right. It actually, if I was law enforcement, it would have put Caitlyn Caneiro there as suspect number 2, probably helped him do it all, to tell you the truth. Like, she looks so bad.
Yeah.
So bad.
I think she yawned twice on the stand, but that was day 2. Maybe she did. I think she yawned on day 1 too. I think she kind of did a yawn, but okay, let's talk about her presentation, how she presented. Oh, wait. First of all, let's go back to my question. 0 to 10, how would you rate the defense's
witnesses? 0.
Yeah, 0. Yeah.
I can't find a point that they made in favor of Paul Caneiro at the end of it.
I don't think so either. He seemed like he may have been a nice guy at one point. Sure, he was kind,
Really, good in putting out the pictures and everything, but that was the defense. That wasn't the witnesses. You know what I mean? That
Mm-hmm.
was the defense using the witness stand to try to get stuff in. And I
Mm-hmm.
think the defense did the best that they could, like defense Monica Massalone and Andy Murray themselves. I have to give them a gold star. I don't know any other defense team that could have actually, under this pile of evidence, do what they did. They
Yeah.
were diligent pre-trial. Monica Massalone was a beast in pre-trial motions and hearings,
Mm-hmm.
and she was hard to deal with in the courtroom too.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And but as far as the caliber of who they put on the stand, they didn't do a thing. They didn't do a thing for Paul Caneiro. They actually heard it. And also those pictures, although they showed him as sympathetic and having a good relationship with the younger children, did you notice they were all when they were much younger? Nothing in the last 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
Like, if I was the defense attorney, I'd want to show you 2 months before this happened, a family celebration where they were all fine. But there
Mm-hmm.
isn't one, which
Mm-hmm.
kind of makes, if you're on the jury and you're wondering, well, why are they showing me pictures of Jesse when he's 8 and 9 with Paul, but like Jesse's 11?
Mm-hmm.
What happened in those?
Mm-hmm.
Things aren't so rosy anymore. Like, things did start
Right.
to fall apart,
Right.
especially since they know April is when they can hear Keith in emails questioning about money and Paul admitting he's paying the wrong people.
Mm-hmm.
And they're starting to get a clue. And you don't see no family gatherings. You don't see no big things. You
Mm-hmm.
know, the only thing you have of Paul going out and celebrating with anybody is with his girlfriend and, celebrating his girlfriend's daughter's birthday.
Birthday, right?
That's about it.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, it is weird because my notes say that photos from 2014 to 2017 were shown. So that's the year before. And yet all the
Yeah,
pictures.
but the 2017 was him and Caitlyn on a vacation.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. Jesse's
was-
birthday, he was like 5, right? It seemed like Jesse was like
Yeah.
a kid, like a kid.
The pictures were till 2017, but no pictures of the Caneiro children with Paul, like Keith Caneiro's
Right.
children with Paul
Right.
in 2017.
Yeah. And then, what about the remark with when Caitlyn said, then they went to Corey, and Corey came over, or Corey liked Keith's pool because Keith's pool was bigger, was better, right? Like that was kind of an underhanded dig, I thought, of like Keith clearly had more money. He was, his pool was better than Paul's. Yeah, they were definitely throwing Corey under the bus. So it doesn't seem like there's any love lost between Corey and the surviving members. What do you think about that?
I think that there's a lot of family jealousy here. I think in the end, the prosecution actually bringing up the resentment issue between the brothers was a good move. And I think they got that based on Caitlyn's testimony. It's obviously bleeding through the children and everything, stuff that they hear in the house and whatever. And yeah, there is a lot of family resentment there. Yeah. Corey is younger, but Corey was closer to Keith than Paul, definitely. Remember, we have heard evidence all throughout this trial of Keith reaching out to Corey to tell him what's going on. We don't have any evidence of Corey and Paul, except for Corey did show up for Paul. It's his older brother. Okay, he did do that. But we don't have any evidence back and forth of him being sympathetic to what Paul was doing or going through. And I think in this particular case that Paul Caneiro realized really quick that the one that could do him in would be Corey. And I think that's why they really pushed that he could have been part of this, because from the start, Paul was like, I don't want Corey in the accounts.
Yeah.
Brilliant of the prosecution, by the way, to remind the jury, he can't remember it when his brother asked, but he's sitting in jail under all that pressure and he's passing out passwords to his wife and to the assistant on how to get into accounts. And he can remember them all, including the trust account. But when his brother's begging him for the number, he's like mute. He doesn't have any information for him. Really.
And then Keith gives him 2 hours and he doesn't he didn't do anything. He didn't log in. He didn't text Keith back. He didn't call Keith back. So even if it's not in your head, because a lot of my passwords, I don't remember, they're saved or whatever. And I get that. But then while in jail, he's like, yeah, here it is. Here's the password. Here's where you go. So that kind of blew that out of the water for me.
really did. As long as these closing arguments were, I was grateful that the state went after the defense because they were actually able to address all those very sentimental issues that Monica Messalone brought up. All of these hot pie in the sky. Well, this is probably what happened. Corey did this, Corey did that. Because she's allowed to say whatever she wants. Well, she didn't have anything to back any of it up. Like, she's telling this fantastical story that none of the evidence actually points to, and all she's talking about is evidence that doesn't exist. Like, that's all they can do is point to what's not there. You know, and unfortunately, in this case, what is there outweighs what's not there as far as shoddy investigation. Did they make some mistakes? Yeah, sure, but nothing that even Christopher Decker said, nothing to the point where, like, yeah, we don't have Jennifer phone. So what? What are we going to get from it? What would that mean? What would that mean when we already have all of this?
Right.
What would that mean? You know?
Right. Yeah. And they kept going on about Corey. Oh, they didn't get Corey's DNA. There was a couple other things. It's like, well, you have to have a subpoena, you know, or a probable cause. I suppose they could ask, right? You can always just ask, hey, can we have your DNA? And then Corey would be like, no. And then
listen, if probable cause is that you're going to inherit money if somebody dies, we're all in trouble. Okay. we're all in a lot of trouble. Okay. Here. We're all going to get DNA swabbed and tested when anybody in our families has an unfortunate accident. Okay. Like, that's not how the law works. Probable cause means you really have to be suspect. And it's not like they didn't interview him. And it's not like they didn't talk. Here's the key. They say there was no investigation. Then how come law enforcement talk to other people about Corey if no investigation is going on? If it was just a routine interview, right? They would just talk to Corey, but they talked to Keith's friends. They talked to everybody. And they mentioned Corey all along. Corey's been mentioned from the start.
Yep. Yeah. I don't know how, well, I guess Paul's fighting for his life right now, basically. But he literally from the get-go threw Corey under the bus, meaning it's Corey, you know, so he's willing to let his younger brother go to jail for him or go to jail for this, you know. I don't know.
I think it was spite. He wanted him to go jail with him so he didn't get the money. He was like, if I can't have it, no one can have it.
You're not going to get it either. Yeah. All right, let's go back to Caitlyn's or Katie's testimony. I just want to jump forward. Well, we don't have to go through her backstory. I just want to get to where the night of. So let's see. So she knew her parents were having marital issues. She said they would still hang out. They would still eat. She said dad's sleeping in the guest bedroom. Okay, we knew all that. His clothes were in the master bedroom. He would still shower. Here's where it comes in again. So Miss Mastalone teased this, and here's where it comes in. Corey was living in Keith's basement. She saw it firsthand. So when we heard that a couple of weeks ago on Cross, I think Monica said, were you aware that Corey was living in Keith's basement? And I was like, what? You know, that's the first time we heard it. And then this is truly where that testimony came in.
Yeah, but it wasn't like living. I think he stayed there for a few, like it wasn't like a big thing. Even when Caitlyn said it, like she couldn't say he was there for months or a year.
June to September. He was there June to September. So
yeah, this
June,
is
July,
like
August, September.
like a summer. And don't forget they were relocating. They had a house in Fairhaven and her parents are in Pennsylvania.
Okay. So it wasn't, do you think, because I thought, well, maybe he was having problems at home and, you know, he needed to get away or he got kicked out of his house or they needed time
well, for Caitlyn, for all of her great knowledge and for whatever Monica Mastalone knows, like they didn't actually put that out there, did they? So no. I guess Caitlyn doesn't know as much as she thinks she knows.
Yeah, obviously. Yeah. And then here's another dig on Corey. So Corey would pop over and it depended on what was going on in his life. He rarely came over for birthdays. He never came over for the barbecue. Summer of 2018, Corey was over a lot more. He was staying at Keith. He would stop by with just his kids to use their pool when no one was there. So that is weird. Okay, so on one hand, she's saying that Keith has the better pool, but then on the other hand, she's saying Corey would go over to Paul's house.
Yeah, they were trying to make it that Corey had access. You see, that's not collaborated in like they do have a picture of them in the pool, but
Right.
Here's the thing. They're just trying to put that Corey had access to the same things Paul did to
Yeah.
try to reinforce that Corey could just as easily have done this. Okay.
Right.
But, like Christopher Decker said, yeah, sure. Like Corey could probably get to Paul's house, but like the
Mm-hmm.
gun's in a locked safe
Mm-hmm.
and he would need passwords to this, that, and the other thing. How does that get rid of any of the evidence? It really doesn't. They're trying to say that Corey set Paul up,
Mm-hmm.
that Corey did all of this, but he
Mm-hmm.
set this up, and Monica actually saying, like, why would he bring the clothes back to the house and
Mm-hmm.
set his own house on fire? To get rid of the evidence, to burn
Mm-hmm.
the house to the ground, make more money, okay? And because the house is insured and everything like that.
Mm-hmm.
And as far as I can think, I think his plan was to, if you look at the relationship with his quote unquote best friend, they went
Right.
back and forth to Colombia several times, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Um, I'd be curious. I have to look this up, but does anybody know if there's extradition to Colombia? Because I really think that once they got settled with the house insurance and once he got the 1.5 million, I think Paul was gone with his
Mm-hmm.
friend to
Mm-hmm.
another country, and I
Yeah.
think he would have left his family just
Yeah.
outright.
Yeah.
Um,
If I had to guess, I would say yes. I would say I think Colombia
mhm,
we would have extradition rights. I would think
mhm,
so. Yeah.
yeah,
If I have to
I
guess, but yeah.
yeah, but I think he was just planning on leaving the country and everything. He had his passport in that back, but like he knew
Mm-hmm.
what he was doing, and he wasn't going to be. They were all going to be staying in separate places because the house burnt down. He knew
Mm-hmm.
Susan was going to be staying next door with the neighbors. He knew the girls had a place to go. He was
Mm-hmm.
probably either going to go to the best friend's apartment or to another place very close by. I mean, that's how it, like, that's the cynical side of me. I could see that
Mm-hmm.
all as part of his plan. It just didn't do, he just did not think it through that they would suspect him right out the gate, and they did.
Mm-hmm.
And it was his own fault that they did. Him
Yeah.
saying a tech guy, so like helping everybody, and that's the other thing that the character witnesses didn't do. They really didn't help when they're saying how tech savvy he is when he's
Mm-hmm.
standing there and his house is burning down and he doesn't even want to tell them like about the DVR or anything like that. He's playing stupid.
Mm-hmm.
Like he doesn't know where the DVR is. What is it in the white box? Like, what's going
Mm-hmm.
on? And the daughter's actually giving the information. And
Mm-hmm.
they said, well, he's looking to her for an answer. No, he was looking to her don't say it, don't say it. But she said it anyway. I
Mm-hmm.
don't think she knew 100% what he meant when he was
Mm-hmm.
looking at her, because I don't think it was looking to provide the answer, you
Mm-hmm.
know?
Yeah, there was. We'll get to all the lies that he told to law enforcement, and that's what caused them to write out. Right, like you said, I think you said day
Mhm.
one or the week one recap. You like he lied to law enforcement straight away, and if their eye was on him right from the get
Yeah.
go. And
Yeah, because the first thing defense wants you to believe is that they targeted him. And I'm like, no, he
Mhm.
made himself the suspect the moment he opened his mouth that very first day. He
Yep,
made himself the suspect. Yeah, he did it.
yeah.
Nobody else.
All right, so let's go through Katie's timeline. So she works; she's a ER nurse. So she comes
Mm-hmm.
home from she works from 9 to 5. So she said she got home, I guess maybe 5:36, whatever, however long it takes her to get home. She said her sister Marissa got home around 7. They ate, mom cooked, and they ate. So then she's watching a movie, and her sister went upstairs to bed. Her mom went upstairs around 10. She went upstairs around 11. Now, Paul had been sleeping, right? He said he went to bed. He told law enforcement he went to bed at 6. She said dad was asleep when she got home, which is not unusual. So that kind of jives with that. If she got home around 6-ish, that's what he told law enforcement, that he went to bed at 6. Um, but he also said he came back downstairs at 11. So they could have possibly had met, but she doesn't say that she saw him walking around, or
Mm-mm.
she didn't say she saw him at all then that day. Right.
Mm-mm.
So, um, and then she said that she took something to make her go to sleep. Right. I
Yep.
missed that.
She
Yeah.
took a sleep aid. Yeah,
Yeah.
she definitely ate.
Okay. All right. So then, okay. So dad shook her. Okay. So then the morning. Okay. So dad shakes her awake. She turns on the light. She sees the top room is filled with smoke. She grabs her inhaler. She got to the top of the stairs. The dogs wouldn't get off the bed, whatever. Oh, then she said, okay, she heard a loud bang. This is what we were talking about earlier. And she heard her dad said, my hand. And then it gets weird. She goes to the front door. She turns around to see if her parents were following her. She sees her dad go to the garage.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And then she goes outside and calls 911 at 4:58. She knew that number, 4:58. She goes to the grass and looks to the garage, and the doors were open and the Porsche lights were coming out. So she never saw her dad with a gas can. Of course, she's never going to say that. He didn't smell like gas. So you think, like, where do you think if she's perjuring, do you think this is where she's starting to perjure herself, or where do you think that comes in?
No, she probably did see her father over by the garage, and he did pull the car out. She did see all that.
Yeah.
Whether it was at that time or not, I think she did take a sleeping aid. The only perjury there is there's no way Paul Caneiro got that injury going down the stairs to run out of the house. No way.
Yeah.
No way.
Yeah.
How do you get a puncture wound like that on the stairwell?
Yeah, or a door handle, or a
those are all round as far as I know, unless you got the pull down one, and even that one doesn't have a sharp end. That pretty much looks like almost a burn or a puncture wound. That is either an arcing. I was thinking about it when electrical things arc and they go and they hit through you. They do look. It looks like a puncture where they land. And they, like, we haven't seen any real close up of it to actually tell, but that's what it looks like more and more to me. In with the skin damage and all. So I definitely think he got that taken off that electrical meter. There's no doubt in my mind. Yeah.
I'm surprised that he didn't have more damage to his hands with the knife, because as we know, he stabbed Sophia and Jesse many, 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 many times.
Yeah, but Christopher was trying to address that with the scarf, right?
Yeah, did you buy that? That's one of those moments where there was like 2 or 3 that I had with Mr. Decker. I was like, I don't know. What did you think about that?
I think that those few moments that the knife incident is going on, where he's stabbing and he's going after the kids, and he ends up stabbing as a last resort Jennifer too, just in case. But I think that was frantic. I don't think there was a lot of thought involved in that. I think the adrenaline was going, like, really, it's obvious that this is like one chaotic mess. We've got kids' handprints and DNA all over the kitchen. We got his DNA. Like, this is a mess. Okay. I don't think there was a lot of thought planned out on what to do with that knife at all. It was just a frantic scene. So I don't think he wrapped his hands in anything. And I am surprised he doesn't have more injuries, but he has been banged down a lot. He's been hitting that island. He's been hitting stairs. He's been hitting things. Like, he's got little bruises, like little contact bruises, pretty much on one side of his body. Him being, what is he, right or left dominant, and it's on the other side. Kind of goes with, like, the hand you're attacking with, and then on the other side of your body you're running into stuff and bouncing off stuff, and all of that. It kind of goes for me. I don't expect to see him at his height, in his strength, and with everybody being in shock and it being dark. I didn't expect to see any wounds that the children or Jennifer would have caused on him. They really didn't have time to. Except for maybe some of these bruises could be kicking from Sophia, especially the one on his leg. Wasn't there one on his leg? That could be from Sophia.
Yeah. It was his armpit. Everything was on his left except there was a right foot outside. I think it was his armpit. I think his arms. I think like his bicep. Definitely his, like, rib cage, and then something, maybe his thigh. But everything, you're right. Everything was kind of on the left side. Whether he's getting kicked or he fell down, maybe. Any number of things, but I think in my personal opinion, yes, he had layers of gloves on, because there was like 6 sets of gloves.
Oh yeah, he had tons of them. Like, he wasn't taking a chance that his hand fingerprints or anything were going to be out there.
Yeah. So that would protect him somewhat, that would definitely protect him somewhat. I'm just surprised. And I guess he probably had long sleeves on, because it's November 20th. It's, it's chilly. It's in the 40s.
It was a long sleeve T-shirt he
Yeah.
had on. His DNA blood is on that that long sleeve one
Mhm.
at the top, right? Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So, um, I'm just a little shocked that he didn't have more damage to him because of all the stabbing that he did. But that is what it is. That doesn't put me on the other side of that he's guilty or not guilty. I should say that he's not guilty. All right, so just real quickly, we'll just go through. So Katie, so she called Paul. Oh, wait, no. Paul called Keith. Paul called Corey. No answer, no answer. So this is where we find out that Corey arrived at 6:15. So she called Alyssa. So Alyssa answers, right? And this plays into Mr. Decker's closing of like, how did Corey do all of this? And then at the very end, you set the fire to Paul's house and then drives 30 minutes back to his house.
And then to show up back again,
And then
right?
show up back again. But it was still dark, and I know defense was making a big deal about it. It was 6:15. It was still dark when Corey arrived, so he can't drive in the dark. But if you're really, it depends on, I don't know what kind of what he can't drive. Like, is it just lights coming at you? That
Your brother calls you in the middle of the night, says his house is on fire and he needs you. I think that it was actually plausible.
You're going to find a way.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it may just be he doesn't like, I don't like to drive in the dark. I don't like it the older I get because
Some people they can't the signs, the street signs,
Yeah.
they like, stuff on the side of the road and stuff, and it's uncomfortable, and it should be because you don't have
Right.
like a clear picture. But if
Right.
you know where you're going, and obviously he does, he's a Fairhaven to Oceantown, he knows exactly where he's going.
Yeah.
Like I think that he would have done it.
Yeah. He would have fought through. He would have fought through whatever was keeping him from driving just normally. And you're right. It's like,
it shows his character as much as they want to throw him under the bus. Whenever anybody needed him, he answered the email, he answered the phone, and he was there. You see, that's with family dynamics, they're trying to make him like the black sheep. Like he didn't want to come around, he didn't want to do this. Keith and Paul were so close, and they dealt with each other every single day through work. They talked all the time. All of these like little kids' birthdays and this, that, and everything. All of this is planned with the two of them, and they just talk to each other. It takes an extra step to call the rest of the family. Did you notice that they're not already talking about the grandparents being there or anything either? Like these two brothers acted like a little nucleus all on their own over here. They had all of this stuff going on. They're the ones not reaching out and bringing anybody else in. And then for Caitlyn to sit there and complain about it like it was all Corey doing it, I don't see them talking about anybody else being there either.
Yeah.
Like, did you hear anything about all the grandparents always showing up? If they really wanted to make Corey the bad guy, they would have mentioned how everyone in the family was there except Corey, but not one of them said that. And that stuck out to me.
Yeah. Even in the pictures, even with pictures, you're right. There was no pictures of grandparents in the background at the birthday parties that I can remember. So
if I was prosecution and I had Caitlyn up there, I was going to be like, was your grandmother there? Was your Aunt Bessie there? How about Uncle George? Like, how about your cousin so-and-so? Were they there? They there? Oh, so it wasn't just Corey that wasn't there all the time. Like I would have played that up a little bit more, but I guess they didn't think it was necessary, and plus they didn't want to, she's already pretty hostile. I mean, man, was that girl hostile. She was hostile. For sure.
Agreed. Yeah. And also Corey being the youngest, he may have just wanted some distance from his family. I mean, I've been through that.
Not unusual. There's quite a few years between them, wasn't there?
He may have been like
Paul and Keith are only like a matter, not even a full year. Like they're what they call Irish twins,
Yeah. That's funny. So he may have just been like, I need my space and, and I'm not going to hang out because of whatever, whatever, that's his prerogative.
Exactly.
And,
they
but
don't
other
have
people,
as much in common. Like they don't work together. They're not like strategizing for business. There's no like constant contact for other reasons,
Yeah. Yeah, so apparently he came from Fairhaven, so that was 20 to 30 minutes away. Is that that's not highway, right? At this point, you're all kind of on back roads and country
It's
roads, or?
Route 18 and 537 and
Mhm,
34. Those are the roads that all connect. And River Road, they connect like Fairhaven, Rumseen, Colts Neck, up all the way to Freehold Borough where I am. And
mhm.
that's it. They are 55, 65-mile-an-hour roads. They're
Okay.
main, especially Route 18. Like
Mhm,
on Route 18, it's people go as fast as they can until they get caught. Like
mhm.
period.
Right,
Has a
right.
bunch of exits for towns off of it, but it's a no charge road.
Gotcha,
Runs through.
gotcha.
But yeah, you could make it from Fairhaven to Ocean Township in 15 easily, very
Mhm.
easy, like very
Especially at
easily.
6:15
Yeah.
or so, right? I mean, people are getting up, but they're not really commuting just yet, you know?
Mm,
Uh,
yeah. Well, I mean, it's even on 18 when you are commuting, it's like the road is so fast that it's not backed up or anything. It's not
right, right.
congested, really
Plus, he
not.
arrived at 6:15, so he probably left at 5:30, quarter to 6 or so, somewhere in
Yeah,
there.
something like that. Yeah, it
So
was
people, yeah,
dark. It was
yeah.
definitely still dark. But in his defense, wasn't it like starting to get lighter, like while he was driving?
No, I think we looked it up. I think maybe Jane looked it up or I looked it up. No, I think the sun doesn't rise until after 7. So,
Oh my, so it's still dark, dark. Okay,
yeah,
so
I think
yeah,
so. Yeah, I think
yeah.
so. Not even
Right.
twilight. Yeah, not even
Well,
twilight yet.
we're coming up to the very interesting part of Caitlyn's testimony that I really have questions. I can't wait to ask you about this one.
Oh, okay. Oh, the whole Jesse's iPad. That's where I'm at.
No,
Uh,
before Jesse's iPad, let's
oh,
talk about Jennifer's text message.
let's see. I've got, she called Jen, Keith a bunch of times, cell phone, called Jesse's iPad. House went straight to voicemail. The house. Okay. So the house phone went straight to voicemail. Jennifer's phone rang. She texted Jen and Keith. Is that where still has the
She
text? Oh, okay.
texted Jen. She texted her Aunt
Yep.
Jen.
And she still has it in
Okay,
her
and
phone.
this
Yep.
is where discovery gets to be a big problem for Monica Maslow
Yep.
because she says she texted Jen and then, oh, a couple of days before she's going to testify, she checks that message and it says read.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yep.
She sends a copy of that message to Monica Maslow. At that point, it's document digital evidence. Even if she, and here's the law, even if she didn't send the copy of it, she told her what kind of message it was. It is
Mm-hmm.
documented digital evidence
Mm-hmm.
that's not in the actual evidence file yet. Monica Maslow had to do discovery on it when that evidence changed.
Mm-hmm.
No doubt. Doesn't matter if Caitlyn's doing this by oral or a written statement. She
Mm-hmm.
told her about evidence. That's the
Mm-hmm.
problem. She didn't just, because she talked about the actual physical text message itself and that it existed and she had a copy of it, it was Monica Maslow's obligation to get that evidence for the court and for the
Right.
state.
Right.
Okay. But here's the thing.
Mm-hmm.
There is more than 2 phone numbers on the text message. What the heck is that?
Oh,
There's an Echo Star number on there. Now, here's the
um,
thing. Okay, here's where you're gonna know I watch too much criminal TV before I go to bed. Okay, so
mhm.
like give me a little grace here because it's gonna be obvious that I get a little too obsessed. Why is Echo Star on there? Is it because of the network that he's so tech savvy that the network that they use is tied to the business so they can write it out? So okay. But why is it leaving a digital cookie on text messages? Is
Mhm.
he spying on his own family? Does
Yeah.
he have access to all their emails and their text messages? What the heck is going on in Paul Caneiro's head? Why the hell is
Um,
this house soundproof? What kind of criminal are we looking at here?
huh,
Like,
huh,
seriously. Like,
um,
okay. And then there's another number on there. And Caitlyn's going, it's not a group text. It's just me and my aunt. And Nicole Wallace is going, there's 4 numbers here. There's
mhm,
4 numbers, four phone numbers attached to your text message.
mhm,
And Caitlyn's like, I don't know. And I believe she really didn't know. But I think
mhm,
she just found out what kind of a creepy dad she got. Like, what's going
mhm,
on here? Because how does it get attached unless it's through the only way that, from what I understand, and I'm not an expert, but it makes sense to me that the only way you can leave a digital cookie or a footprint on a text message is if something went in or out of that process from
mhm,
those numbers. So
mhm,
either somebody dialed into her phone to
mhm,
those text messages and got it and manipulated it, and or something was being transmitted out from her phone to give information. So either dad spying or dad instructed Caitlyn how to actually manipulate text data, and we just uncovered them altering evidence and putting a false claim to the court.
Wow. Yeah, that's pretty big. How does she not know that there's other phone numbers on a text? I mean, she can clearly see
it would only, because digital cookies only show up in extraction, or if you go into the bowels of it. Who goes into the bowel? Nope, most people can't get into the bowels of text of this stuff going back and forth. It's all like, you know how when, like, the easiest way for me to explain it is if you take a picture with your camera, right? And there's a digital footprint, and you can get to that if you go to the information part of the break, and it'll show everywhere that photo's been. If you cropped it, if you sent it, if somebody copied, like if somebody takes a copy of it, like you send it to somebody, it has your number, their number, and then you alter it, it has that information there. And everywhere this image goes through this process, it gets digital cookies all over it. Does that make sense?
Sure. Oh,
why wouldn't it? Why would that not be the same for a text message or a phone call when it comes to cell phones? That's how I think of it anyway. You know,
I know more about photo files because I work with those every day. You know, like
so you know what I'm told. That's the easiest way to explain digital cookies and footprints that we don't see, but get every step of the way get documented, right?
Absolutely, yeah. Well, the metadata, that's what's called metadata, where you
Yep,
can follow the history. Yeah, I don't know as
Now
much.
you're talking my language, Chris. There you go.
So I don't know about text messages. I would assume it's the same. I would assume, you know, there's metadata.
Yeah, there's metadata, and the metadata said there was more than 2 phones involved in this call. How the heck did that happen? I need to know. Like, what kind of a mastermind are we dealing with him? That's what I said. He thinks he's the smartest one in the room, but obviously not so. I mean, if that fire in Colts Neck, he destroyed a lot of evidence. He did. That fire worked. The one in his home, not so much. It got put out too soon to destroy the evidence he wanted it to.
Right. Agreed. So. Yeah, no, I agree. And that's one of the charges was the arson.
Felony arson.
Yeah. Putting his family at risk, So,
and to destroy the property for evidence, actually, felony. Yeah, definitely felony. And that's part of the obstruction in the hiding of the crime. Yeah.
So the text message, that was a huge moment. And then they continued on. And then it was when the Jesse's iPad. So apparently she pinged Jesse's iPad in February. A couple months after, obviously November 2018,
and it was like,
and then that was what was objected to, and then that brought the day to an end, and then so
because that's brand new stuff. Because because the first one was shady, the one about the text message that she mentioned, that was really shady. But when you think about it, it's not automatically a discovery violation because they extracted Caitlyn's phone the day of. So the state has Caitlyn's phone information already, right? So not exactly until that evidence changed by it being read, like her saying it was read, it wasn't a violation of any kind. Okay. However, the iPad, and I don't think they did themselves any favor here, not to the reasonable people anyway, but saying that, trying to make it out that the fact that Corey has Jesse's iPad is some kind of crime. What crime is it? Can anybody answer that for me?
No. And a lot of people in chat, myself included, were and I think you were part of this as well. He now takes over. He takes over the businesses. He takes
almost over immediately. He became the trustee, right?
Yeah. So he had to take ownership of everything, you know.
And Corey not being part of the businesses or anything, just being on the outsource. Like, don't you think he consulted a lawyer? And don't you think a lawyer told him you're not responsible for everything of value for the estate, which includes anything that's inside Keith's house? And would he not go through and collect anything that was left? Because remember, this house is burnt wide open. It's not secured. Okay. And would he not go and collect it? He's now responsible for the trust in everything. He's got double responsibility here.
Yeah.
And I think he was advised to remove everything. And the fact that it was months later than it was in his possession, it should have been in his possession. If not he, who should have had that iPad? And why would law enforcement be looking for an 11-year-old's iPad for evidence?
Yeah, and why did Caitlyn take 3 months, December, January, February? Why did she take 3 months to ping it? And then why does she only have location on Jesse's iPad? Like, and nobody, like, and Paul doesn't have it, or like, why does she
I
have
have an answer
location
for
on
that.
Jesse?
I have an answer for the timing. If you'll
Okay.
remember, Paul couldn't actually get in touch with his family till after December, right?
I didn't know that, but
From
okay.
jail.
Okay.
Yes. They didn't start visiting, and phone calls with Susan didn't happen until like December
right.
okay.
Yeah,
And so then the family's coming and everything starting in December. So when does Paul start talking to everybody about gathering evidence?
I guess December at some point, right?
Yeah. So there you go. That helpful Caitlyn, that oldest daughter, boy, she's right there. She gonna do it. She gonna do it. Yeah.
Yeah, but why? But then, okay, and that's reasonable. I get that. But then, why does she have this tracking on Jesse's iPad? That is that normal for a?
I don't think she did. I think EchoStar did, because we've got a phone number from EchoStar on her text messages, which means that all the devices involved anywhere in the perimeter of Paul Caneiro are within his little spying, beady little tech fingers, as far as I'm concerned. And I think that it looks like it's through Caitlyn, through the app or whatever, but actually Paul knew all about it, and Paul's the one who put the earwig in her ear to go check that out.
Can you imagine, because Paul and Jesse were so close, they were so close, so close. Can you imagine who gave Jesse that iPad?
Paul. How do you think that got in there? You think an 11-year-old? What 11-year-old wants his cousin to know everything he's doing?
No, I'm just saying, did Keith give the iPad to Jesse? Did Jennifer?
I bet you Paul did. I would love to know with it. I bet you Paul gave it to him.
That would be really interesting. It would be really interesting to know who gave Jesse, probably for a birthday.
I can't wait for all of these questions to be. Somebody needs to do a documentary on the mind of Paul Caneiro so we can find out what kind of master criminal he really is. Because I actually am leaning towards him spying on his own family, like in that all coming out.
Right.
Like, because that rang bells. I was like, what? What am I hearing here? 4 numbers on a text phone. How can that actually happen? Because if there was a logical reason for it that wasn't damaging, wouldn't Monica Massalone or Andy Murray, Mr. Tech, behind the scenes, wouldn't he try to find out?
Yeah. Well, they may have found out, and they may have said, "Oh, Paul gave that to Jesse for his 10th birthday. We're not going to go any further with that," because then they're thinking, "Oh, he put the tracking device on." Oh, wow.
And all those soundproof rooms and everything like that. And by the way, we've got actually, I think there's no correspondence between, BFF and Paul, phone calls and stuff like that, because I think in pre-trial, they eliminated some of what would be very damaging character evidence. Like, they did do that. They narrowed the scope of talking about defrauding the Social Security Administration. They narrowed the scope of talking what they could and could ask of the BFF. Okay. And that was because if all of that came in on top of all of these, that would be problematic, to say the least. It wouldn't have been productive. It would have been way too damaging for the defense and his character. And so they did kind of narrow it down to just judge and I agree with the judge on that. Like, it didn't really state anything as to how he committed the crime. It was actually just damaging to his character. So, like, why do we have to go into it? That's another trial and another date. That's for divorce court. and that's for and that's for Social Security to deal with. Like, that's not in my court. My court's murder and arson.
Right.
And I don't care if he has a girlfriend. And yeah, it doesn't look good that he defrauded Social Security Administration, but just the fraud with his brother is what's important here. And I like that about Judge Lamo. He didn't get into the extras.
Yeah, because there's so much as it is. I mean, there's 17 or 18 charges. It's already too much, and to go down that road, that's
right. Because legal law, like rule of thumb in the legal system, is if you can prove it this way, legit, you don't need all this other. And this is it. It's proved. It's done. It's over. I don't need all that extra stuff.
Exactly.
Like, that's how judges are going to go for it. But I do think that Judge Lamo has a few issues here, and I love this man. I love the way he does it, but I think his actual interactions with Monica Massillon have left a big issue here for appeal.
So you mean the following day when he was
no, even before that, all along, him correcting her in front of the jury, and her putting it on the record that he was doing it, and that it was affecting how the jury looked. Remember, he actually came back and did a jury instruction, because that was Monica Massillon saying, yo, I'm calling you out for this. You're making me look bad in front of the jury. They're going to hate me. Therefore, they're going to convict my client. That's not fair. And she has a point to say it, but she overemphasized it. Like Monica Massillon, as any defense attorney is going to, every little piece you give them, they're going to get it and they're going to use it.
Sure.
And so this is definitely going to be an appeal issue. The more angry, he was visibly frustrated with Monica Massillon on more than one occasion. The jury saw it. Everybody in the courtroom saw it. We all saw it.
Yeah.
And
the judge, just as a little sidebar note, the judge from the Alicia Andrews, which was the Julio Fulio shooting here in Tampa, they got that judge kicked out for the sentencing. It's going to be another judge that's going to do her sentencing. And they pulled in people from Law and Crime or Court TV's chat saying, wow, this judge is really prejudiced. This judge is biased against the defense team. And you could see it. We watched little bits and pieces of that. I think we did Ego Takes the Stand with her. And you could see that judge was definitely like not on the defense's side. So that being said, I guess they're going to, oh, no, she lost her appeal. She tried to appeal it. She lost her appeal, but there's going to be another judge that's going to give her sentencing. So we'll see. I mean, we'll follow this case, obviously, to the very, very end. We'll see. I'm sure they're going to appeal it within, a day or two.
Yeah.
Do you think they're going to be, I'm sorry, just real quick. Is it Monica? Do you think Monica and Andy are going to be the appellate as well? Or is that another group?
Normally it's in the client's best interest to have a separate appellate versatile lawyer, because appellate is a whole different thing. But I just want to say I agree with Legally Blonde here. I too was visibly annoyed by Monica. Yes, repeatedly, over and over again. Unfortunately, but in Judge Lamo's favor, I just want to add that he also sided with the defense often. Often he did. He really did. And I do think he was fair. But first of all, that rolling up the eyes thing, I do think that Monica Massillon has a pressure tick. I really do. She makes really weird faces while she's sitting there.
And it was her nose too. It wasn't just her eyes. She was doing stuff with her nose. She had a tick.
She
for
twitches.
Sure.
Does she roll her eyes though? Oh gosh, yes. And you can hear it in her voice. She's snarky. She's definitely snarky.
Yeah.
Some of the comments that she made, like to the lead investigator, when she just says to, oh, but you're the lead investigator, right? Like, but you were in charge, right? But you don't know, but you were in charge. You were the lead investigator. And she was aggressive about it.
Yeah, I remember that.
She can be pretty snarky, but I think it's, she wouldn't be doing her job if she doesn't appeal on this for that. Especially since she got called at least he didn't call her out for the discovery issue in front of the jury. He got that going for him, but he didn't hold back. He didn't hold back at all. Yeah. And when she said, you're using words that are accusatory, like you're accusing, he pretty much said, damn straight I am, girl, because you did. You did.
Yep. Deliberately doing this and knowingly doing that. And he
said, because you did, because because he's frustrated with her because she is a damn good lawyer. And he knows she knew better. And he knows that she was just trying to play that here, like I'll just try it this way. But he knew that state versus tier did not apply here. It was more
No.
state versus not night, which
Yeah.
goes to the type of evidence that it was that we're
Mhm.
talking about. Because tier, it's true. It's only about how you don't have to put what a defense witness is going to say in writing
Mhm.
if they haven't given you an affidavit or a statement
Mm.
or they haven't met with them.
Mhm.
Okay. That's all it is. It means that the defense doesn't have to do more work to document what's going to happen ahead of time. They
Mhm.
can't force you to do it. They're allowed to have their defense strategy, but
Mhm.
they are not allowed to withhold evidence.
Mhm. Yeah.
And an oral statement is not evidence until it's an affidavit or done in an investigation or with the attorneys on file, right?
Mhm. Yeah, and I
Yeah.
think it was also with notes. Like it's if she created it, then she doesn't have to, give that discovery. But if she's handed something like that screenshot, then yeah, then
Mhm.
that's evidence. That's physical evidence versus her just taking notes. Oh, you have a screenshot? She doesn't have to
Mhm.
disclose that.
Yeah.
She did win the one earlier in the trial. She did win the one based on that Jersey versus Tier, but she lost. She lost this one, and he said it does rise to the level of discovery violations, but there's no talk of sanctions or anything like that. Do you think she will maybe? And the state didn't bring up anything either. Do you think that that's going to be it, or do you think there will be
That can
something?
all happen behind the scenes in many court cases. That has all happened after the fact, and there
Yeah.
may be there may be something put on the record. And but what he's going to have to not do is prejudice the case in advance. And so,
Mhm.
them being quiet about it right now is probably advisable.
Yeah. Yeah. The only other time I saw that was with Maya Kowalski, where they were trying to sanction Maya's team was trying to sanction Jay Hatch's some of their lawyers, and they talked about it in open court, not in front of the jury, but they talked about it, in open court.
Hmm.
That's the one and only time I've seen it. So the state didn't say anything about sanctions or anything, but it did rise both of those. The iPad and the screenshot, both of those rose to discovery violations, and but that was it. That's as far as he took it.
Yeah, I
Um,
think him not saying anything about that was probably good because it will also play out for appellate. Like if she's thinking about doing an appeal based on the judge's prejudice, that
mhm,
all is going to be open record and it's going to look really bad for her. And
mhm,
then the court, it's other courts besides Judge Lameau could decide to sanction her or report her to the bar for
mhm,
it on
mhm,
their ruling. So it might have been smart on Judge Lameau's part not to mention it at this point.
mhm,
Also, I think he's very careful and he's probably thinking about it. I think the last thing he wants to do is cause problems for lawyers feel they're doing their job. And the
mhm,
one thing this judge knows is how hard public defenders have it.
mhm,
Okay. And
mhm,
I think he was trying to be as fair as he could. And I just think that Monica Massalone very often was very disrespectful. Many times he told her to stay in her lane as far as questioning, and she would just keep trying to go out of it, just
mhm,
try a new angle to get out of it because she wanted what she wanted on the record, and she would
mhm,
do anything to get it. And he knew what she was doing. He could see her being disrespectful about it.
mhm,
And like judges, they were lawyers too at a time,
mhm.
you know?
Yep,
And
absolutely.
so you have to remember this judge is sitting there and he's a lawyer that has had to deal with judges
Mhm,
in the hierarchy system that it is, where
mhm,
it's all respect and what the judge says go. And you feel whatever you want. Just don't let the judge know about it, okay?
mhm,
Because like in that courtroom, he's king. You don't
yep,
have to like it, but
mhm,
that's the system you deal with, and you do
yep,
what he says. And
mhm,
just to have someone like Monica Massalone constantly pushing about that to get her own way can
mhm,
be very, very unnerving because he lost his cool a lot. And he was visibly upset and definitely had lost his cool when it came to the discovery violation.
yeah.
Because like that's it. He's like, that's it. Now you've gone way too far. And also, how about nobody's mentioning Andy Murray rather,
Mhm,
asking the DNA expert whether you can use DNA to set somebody up for a
mhm,
crime? Straight out, do you
mhm,
think we could use this type of testing to frame someone for murder? Like straight out.
mhm.
And the guy's like, how would he know that? I mean, the man doesn't even claim to be an expert. Like, how would he know?
Right, right.
but that got stricken too. I was like, nice try, Andy, but damn, that didn't look good either. That didn't look good either.
Wow. I don't remember that, but I'm sure it happened. I just don't quite remember that right now. Do you think I could just to get back to these violations? Is it if you get a violation that just kind of goes on your permanent record, and if you get too many, then it gets reported to the bar, or does that go automatically to the bar? Do you know, or does it have to be reported by a judge specifically? Because right now that's on the record that she.
No, it doesn't have to be reported by the judge specifically. Anybody can make a bar complaint. And it gets investigated by the bar separately. That's a whole separate thing than the judicial system that you're dealing with right now. I'm not sure if discovery violations in New Jersey are sanctionable, that she'd have to pay a fine.
Or if she gets too many, like if she got 2 dings here, and then the next trial she gets a ding, and then another trial she gets another ding, and then once she gets like 5, then it's like, okay, Miss Mastalone, we need
no, there's nothing. No, I don't think. I don't think it works like that. I think it's like a counts against your license all come from the bar.
Okay. But then she has a reputation. I would think she's starting to get a reputation,
Okay, the court can impose a penalty on Miss Mastalone herself for monetary fines and adding attorney fees to severe sanctions, like, under New Jersey Court Rule 423 and R 423.5. That discovery violations are strictly sanctionable in New Jersey. But mostly, like he said, the remedy is motion to compel, make them bring the evidence forward, or actually not being it allowed at all, if it, regardless of who it's favorable to, especially if it's favorable to the party that has the violation, just tossing it out of court completely and all testimony to do with it. But to have like fines and penalties, willful violations like repeated or intentional withholding of evidence could be a default judgment. Actually, the lawyer could actually get the case, just forget about the jury. The judge is now going to just decide in everything like a default judgment against the whole defense right away. If it's repeatedly throughout a case and stuff like that, but mostly the attorney is accountable for it. Well, the sanctions are imposed directly against attorneys, not just their clients. The evidence, of course, is damaging. If it gets tossed out for the client, it hurts their case,
Right.
But the sanction is actually on the attorney.
Gotcha. So then ultimately what happened with all that was there was a stipulation that he did read about Jesse's iPad was not searched and or seized and or searched by law enforcement. So that was one of the stipulations that came out of that. And then the screenshot, so that's Jesse's iPad. The screenshot was not admitted into testimony, even though they heard both of those. The jury heard both of those. What happened with the screenshot? I'm trying to remember. I'm thinking about the iPad.
I don't think the picture of it, because was entered into evidence. They said that the jury wouldn't get it, but all the testimony about it was allowed. So in other words, as long as the jury remembers that Nicole Wallace talked about those 4 phone numbers being attached, they can use that.
Okay.
And the stipulation just shows you that the state is willing to agree on facts. They didn't test the iPad. They didn't care.
Right.
And Corey does have the iPad, and they don't care.
Right. No. Yeah. Right. All right. So I did miss, unfortunately, I missed Katie's cross. And I have a note saying, does the state want to use that on cross and go into that? I'm going to give you some latitude. It's already out there.
Everything I told you about with the phone messages and all of that was part of her cross. Yeah. And then tearing her apart about remembering the exclamation made by her father when they're leaving the house, but then can't remember anything about the DVR system cameras. She started asking her about the working cameras, where the DVR was, all this. All of a sudden, she can't remember. But the day of the fire, like, she's spouting out evidence, like whatever. And she did also, of note, Nicole Wallace documented it on the record that during her interview at the police station, none of this was said. She never said that her father hurt herself leaving the house. She never said she heard him exclaim out loud. And she
Mm-hmm.
tried to cover that by saying, well, it's because I was upset because they wouldn't let me leave.
Mm-hmm.
That was the main point. But
Yeah.
Nicole Wallace did bring in the point up to the jury. Like, oh, you remember that now when it's beneficial to your father because he's got this injury that he can't really account for.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that everybody is kind of leaning towards might be like about the fire
Mm-hmm.
or about the electrical meter or like, you know, him doing some shady stuff. But you didn't remember that at the time when you were asked.
Right.
So,
Right.
yeah.
Yeah, I think in the end, okay, the screenshot, or even if it even okay, so it was the phone was it was received and it was delivered and then it was read. When was it read? When was she saying that it was read? It was read that day. It was
She
read.
said it was no. She doesn't know when it was read because the she said she didn't check it until a couple of days before she was going to testify. So sometime between when she sent it, the morning of the 20th, and 2 days before her testimony, or like the 30th.
Right.
I think she first orally mentioned it on the 30th of January to Monica Massillon, because the judge actually said that's the first time in your document you said you spoke to Katie about her testimony. So that could possibly be the very first time you heard it, would be the 30th.
Mm-hmm.
And then the day before, 24 hours before, she offered you the she sent you the screenshot. He said, so it was very, I remember his words. So it's very obvious to me that you talked about it with her on the 30th. So you had plenty of time to submit this, because Monica Massillon was trying to say she just found out about it 24 hours before. No, she just got the screenshot. She was careful in what she said in her actually written thing to the court, that she received the screenshot within 24 hours. And he blew that argument apart. He said, yeah, you got the screenshot, but it's not like you didn't know about it when you talked about it on the 30th.
Right. She had 10 days. Yeah, she had 10 days to alert the court, to alert the state. She still had that day, the day that Katie came in to testify. She could have said something there.
That whole 24 hours, he said, you came to court, we had sidebars, we had meetings, we had this, all of this without the jury, even that you could have brought it up at any time and you didn't.
Yeah.
He said you even had sidebars with the state about other things and you never mentioned it.
Yeah. Okay, so I'm still trying to wrap my head around this. They gave their phones over for extraction, though. So
that day on the 20th or the 21st, yep, they were extracted.
Yeah. So, and then at one point, I think she said she got a new phone. So when did she?
Nope, she got a new SIM chip because she was in Greece, and you need to. It needs to operate differently, so it had a different phone number.
Okay, that's what it was. Okay, so she still had the message from or to Jennifer, and it said delivered, and then 7 years go by, and she just happens to check it and says that it's read, and then she takes a screenshot of that and sends it to Monica.
Is it? Can I just? Yeah, can I just like? I'm gonna be a little speculative here because like now my
please do.
Curiosity.
Sure.
Like, is it more likely that the actual evidence of these 7-year-old calls and all of this stuff is actually secured in the database of the EchoStar system rather than actually on her phone?
No, I don't think that's unreasonable to think that at all.
And could that not be how those other phone numbers are attached to that message, because it was actually put back into her phone for trial? Yeah, it makes sense to me. Oh gosh, I should have emailed Christopher Decker before he started like with his exam. No.
Now we're getting into some serious tampering of evidence.
No, but you can't ignore those two phone numbers. That's not normal. Okay, that's not normal.
Agreed. Yeah. I'm sorry I missed I missed Croston. I'll have to go back and watch that.
You do, because it's worth just watching her sit there with her face like and not saying anything. Well, Nicole, I mean, also it's beautiful to watch Nicole Wallace in Cross. I recommend you watch just that Cross.
Yeah,
she was good.
I rewatched because I was out that morning, so I rewatched Judge Lemieux and all of his thing that he went through. Then we stopped it there. We stopped it. I stopped watching because I wanted to watch that, so I stopped.
I wish I was here for chat. I would imagine the chat lit up during the discovery violation conference. I would imagine. I mean, whew,
Yep.
like I was uncomfortable for Monica. Like
Mhm.
she was completely berated, like
Mhm.
completely like no matter what she said in defense of herself, he blew it apart. He said, "No,
Mhm.
no, 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 no.
Yeah. She's
Nice
like, "I
try."
didn't know." Oh, yes, you did
He said,
know.
"Oh, yes, you did."
Yeah. Yeah. Then at one point he's like, "Excuse me, I'm talking here," or something to
Yeah,
that
he said,
effect,
"I'm not finished. Yeah, I'm not finished. Yeah,
Yeah.
I believe I was talking here." Yeah, yeah.
Ooh, ouch. Yeah.
Mhm.
All right, let's see. Is there anything else we want to continue on with that? Because then after that, it's Marissa, and she's on for like a hot second, and she's off.
All just to say that, because remember Detective Brady said that he was unnerved by how calm Paul was and that he never showed any emotion when
Mhm.
they said about Keith's family and everything like that. So I found it the only documentation of is Marissa saying so because he didn't have any reaction while the officers were there telling him. He
Mhm.
waited until everybody left, and then all of a sudden he's on the floor and she's holding him because he's crying so hard for about 3
Mhm.
to 5 minutes. And
Mhm.
I'm like, okay, I mean, I think he may have because he would want his family to think that, everything's cool, but I don't think. I
And
think if he was crying, it wasn't because his brother was dead. I think it was because he just realized he was nailed.
Mhm. And is that on camera? I'm assuming these quote unquote interrogation rooms that's Katie's
We
terminology.
didn't see any of the interrogations
Yeah.
at all, and I think in New Jersey you need actually the people that are not suspects permission to do that, and I
Oh,
don't think
okay.
legally they're allowed to. I
Oh,
don't.
okay.
There's. I'll have to look further into that. So, like, I'm not 100% sure. If
Okay.
somebody knows a little better, tell me. But I don't often see investigative interviews from New Jersey ever for any of
Mhm.
the case. I don't recall ever seeing one because I've been thinking about that. Like,
Yeah.
why aren't they showing Paul being stoic? And
Right.
why, if defense had that, wouldn't they just not go by the daughter? Because of course, if the daughter's saying it, it's immediately sus. Like it should be by a jury. You should take it with a grain of salt. That's his immediate family. Of course, they're biased towards him. But if you had physical evidence of him being visibly upset after a law enforcement said he was stoic and not,
Mhm.
wouldn't you present it in the evidence? Like if it exists and it was usable, they would have showed it for sure.
Right. Yeah, you're right. Every trial we show, there's always a police interview, and there was none. We didn't see that. We didn't see that
I
at
don't
all.
think you can in New Jersey. I don't think
Yeah.
you can. Like I don't think
Yeah.
so. But because I'm sure the defense really would have wanted to use it because
Mhm.
it would have bolstered Katie's blown up complaints too.
Mhm.
If we saw officers, poo-pooing her,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
Like
Yep.
that would have definitely. I'm sure if they could use it, the defense would have.
Mhm.
Because they have to realize that the words of the best friends from 30 years and immediate family don't have the same weight
Mhm.
as tangible physical seeing it with your eyes yourself, right?
Right. Right. Yeah. No, I agree. I agree. Yeah, they must not have had it. They must not have had that. So, all right. So Marissa, we talked about she was really quick. Okay, then the defense rests. No state rebuttal. Did you find
What are
that?
they going to rebut?
Yeah, nothing really.
They
Nothing to.
actually, I mean, the defense did such a bang up job for the state as far as their witnesses. What are they going to rebut?
Mhm. I
Seriously.
agree. I agree. Now, did you? Let me just go to my. Let me go quickly here to my notes to that. Jennifer's. Okay, hold on. Just want to make sure I didn't miss anything. Did you think? Did you think the defense, even though they didn't have to bring a case because it's not their burden, was there anybody else or any other experts or any other witnesses? Do you think that they could have, should have brought up that would have helped you in your mind um, as from a defense? Like put your defense hat on right now and say, oh, if I could, I would have brought this person in to rebut the state's allegations. Is there anybody?
Hmm.
Is there anybody that you could think of?
I don't think anybody could. I mean,
Mhm.
you asked me what grade witnesses level they had for the defense, and a big fat zero.
Yeah.
I don't think they moved the needle at all,
Hmm.
at all. A little bit towards sympathy, but if you're actually paying attention, which I hope the jury was, like we were, on
Hmm.
what those pictures and sentiment value meant and when they stopped
Hmm.
and what they not so much, this is where my brain goes. Like, it's not so much what they show, it's what they don't show,
Mm-hmm.
which was the defense's whole case, right?
Mm-hmm.
Against the state. It's not so much what they have, it's what they don't have. It's what
Mm-hmm.
they didn't do,
Right.
right?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I think when we first talked, you said maybe a fire arson to,
Well, because they did the fight in court. They did bring ballistics and fire to fight in court.
Mm-hmm.
But then when it got narrowed down, and I guess after reading Clayton's second affidavit of how and seeing how Clayton, the ballistic Sergeant Clayton, Lieutenant Clayton, Sergeant First Class Clayton,
Mm-hmm.
um, how he responded to questions during voir dire of the hearing about his testimony before trial, when they saw that he was actually able to say how he did everything and how well he presented, they just decided not to spend the money.
Mm-hmm.
Because remember, they already did spend the money trying to fight it pre-trial.
Mm-hmm.
There's not a lot of money to be had.
Right.
It's public defenders. Yeah.
Yeah, that a lot of us were talking about that in chat about could the I forget exactly what it was, but it was something with could the defense have maybe was it a private investigator? Shoot, I can't remember right now. It was today that chat was talking about could the defense have hired so and so to do this, and I'm like, well, it's definitely the taxpayers are paying for it, and they have certain budgets, and I can't remember the specifics right now, but for me, I would have thought maybe the ballistics, maybe only because they said that the ammo was unique. Maybe bring somebody in to kind of refute that a little bit.
Well, it being available on websites and everything doesn't mean that it's not unique and rare. It is. Like, it's not like you can walk into a gun shop and get it, like right
Mhm,
here, right now. And
mhm,
also the way it was used. I think the wording might have gone against the state there a little bit. But
okay.
the fact that he had to get it from the state or from another source, because ballistics for the state, we're talking about the state of New Jersey, not just like Monmouth County or just the Monmouth County prosecutor's office. Sergeant First Class Clayton works for the state. Okay. So they didn't have it in ballistics, this
Mhm,
type of ammunition. That
mhm,
speaks loudly that the word rare or unique could be used, because if they're
mhm,
not using, they don't have it as a sample to test, then it's not used very often, is it?
mhm. Yeah.
Because there's a lot of gunshot crimes in New Jersey. I'll just tell you that. Like,
Mhm,
they got a lot of ammunition in ballistics,
mm.
okay, to test. A lot of variety, okay. And if
Right,
it wasn't there, that alone says to me that it was unique.
right,
Maybe not the word rare, like you had to like go to a foreign country to get it, but you did have to make some effort to acquire it for
right.
sure.
Richard in the kitchen. He's ex law enforcement, and he emailed me back at 1:30 when we were kind of talking about this. He sent me what he uses, still
Hmm.
uses. This is what I carry. He says it's unique only in who manufactures it, which is Hornady, not unique
Hmm.
in and of itself. So, and I think that's a fair point. And I would be like, well, that's the only thing I can kind of think of from the defense would be to bring in somebody and say, well, you know what? Because to me that was a big point for me. It's like, wow, this ammunition is unique. To bring in somebody to kind of refute that, to say, well, it's not really
Yeah,
that
the word
unique.
unique,
You know?
but why bother to do that when you actually have the matching ammunition to test from the actual matching gun to match up the tool marks perfectly? It
Mhm,
doesn't make sense to waste your money when the caliber of I mean, that's a unique situation when you have the exact
mhm,
like make, model, lot of the ammunition that was
mhm,
fired from that gun, and you're able to match up those casings precisely. There's no
mhm.
doubt it's a perfect match. Okay, that's a
Yeah.
unique, that's a beautiful scenario. Usually you get these shell casings, you get them afterwards. You don't know where, you don't get the box of ammunition they came out of to test against.
Mhm.
In this
Yeah.
case, they did, and
Yeah.
they were able to match everything up perfectly. There's no doubt what they were. They
Mhm.
match perfectly. They just know, like, oh, well, it's really, really similar, and oh, it could have been. No, we're talking perfect matches here.
Yeah.
A unique situation. So, like, why spend the money? Like,
Mhm.
why? What are you going to go against? The word unique?
Yeah, I'm
Do you
just
think?
playing the what if. I'm
Yeah.
just playing the what if game of like, That
I
would be the
think
only.
it would have damaged the jury's perception of where they're spending their money and how smart they are. Like what are they actually fighting against here?
Then there's that. Yeah, then there's that.
Yeah.
I guess I'm going down the path of if in a perfect world or whatever, that would be the only
Monica
person.
Mastalone would love you for that. She would love you for that. She might even hire you. She like.
Yeah, because I can't think of anybody else. They can't bring in a fire arson expert. They can't bring in.
Well, they wanted to. They did for pre-trial. Yes, they did, because they tried to say, well, you don't actually know what caused the fire because you don't know what incendiary. You keep saying slow burning and incinerary, and because they use different language, the two slow burning people on how slow burning it was, and they can't actually say what lit the fire. They were, they did that in pretrial to try to get rid of all of the arson testimony from all of the arson experts, like, because nobody could actually say exactly. And all it proved was the fact of the matter is it was the fire started at a certain time, and we can tell. And it didn't get roaring until it was actually the firefighters trying to put it out that actually accelerated it, exposing the house to more oxygen, and boom, the fire took off like crazy. Which actually just that event itself kind of led to the credence that yes, it was a slow burning encapsulated fire. And so they really couldn't fight it that hard. And what does it matter? Like, we know that it was a gas fire in all probability at Paul Caneiro's because of the evidence. But the actual incendiary item does burn away, and there's not really a lot left to actually say what. And he did say it was more than likely, gas. But incendiary just means that it was started, that somebody purposely started it. And that's really all we get in this case. We've got innuendo about what he used to start it. We don't know how he started the fire at Keith Caneiro's house. And we can only assume it was gas because of the evidence he left outside of the porch and all over the place about his own home. It's more than likely.
Yeah.
Who are they going to bring in? Like, because if they couldn't find it, what expert is going to find anything better than that in the condition that those houses were in?
Yeah. No, I agree. I don't think there was, like I said, the only thing I could remotely think of would be somebody from ballistics to say they weren't that unique. That really truly is the only thing that I could think of. And
it really should have been done years ago by if not by the private attorneys on the defense side, but the public offenders that took over the first couple of years. But then we had we had the virus and things like that, and things got shut down. But they had 7 years. Monica Mastalone only had one year to actually get everything together. Is she going to spend money on a fire expert to actually re-examine everything? No, she did for the hearing. They did pay for somebody to come in and testify and go against the evidence for the hearing, but they didn't have enough to do a whole big investigation into it to actually bring them into trial. The hearing showed that it wasn't enough of a pushback to put more money after it in either case, ballistics or arson, I guess. And now that I'm thinking about it, they did what damage they could during pre-trial. And if that didn't work, it's like throwing money, you don't throw good money after a bad idea. If it didn't work, you're not going to throw more money because you don't have the money to begin with. It's a public defender.
That's true.
By the time they get it through the court system to say it's necessary, you got to prove the expense to get them to pay for it. Now they're going towards trial. And she's already heard from the judge several times. We are not delaying again. No, we're not. No, we're not. Yeah.
All right. So that, if you're okay, we can move on from the daughters.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, yes.
Christy. Hi, everyone. Really fantastic, thoughtful recaps. Hope you two team up again in the future. Thank you,
that
Christy.
would be fun.
Yeah, I think we will. All right. So then we get to closings, right? So day 18 would be closings. And that was, so the defense rests. So the 11th, which was yesterday. So then we get 2 days of closings. Were you surprised at the length of the closings on both sides, or were you expecting that?
I don't think anybody was surprised that Monica Messalone took 3.5 hours.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, look how long her crosses were. Look how long her directs were.
Yeah. I went into this with like, now I'm foolishly, she talked for 25 minutes in openings, and Miss Walsh talked for 35 minutes. I'm like, all right, rule of thumb, let's just double it. So we'll give them like an hour, hour and a half for each.
Mm-hmm.
Boy, was I off on that estimate.
Yeah, I do think the judge has regrets about not setting time limits.
Yeah.
I swear, just in closing arguments, he aged 10 years. I don't know how he held his head up. They would flash to him, and he had this flat look on his face, like he'd rather be anywhere than there right now. Like, and
Yeah.
yet he has to pay attention to all of it. Like he
Yeah.
does.
Oh, I know.
Yeah.
I know.
I just really felt for him. I was just like, man, I'm, gosh.
All right. So for closings, I thought it was really interesting that Jennifer's sister had her ears in her fingers in her ears. Did you catch that? They kind of panned the gallery. Do you know her name?
For
Do you know?
Monica, I do not know her sister's name, but I know she was there almost every day.
Yeah.
And yeah, the fingers in the ear was like, that's when Monica Mestalone was going on and on.
Yep. Yeah. Yeah. As
And
defense.
besides the length of it, do we want to talk about the fantastical disillusioned picture that Monica Messalone was trying to paint? Like, she went all out. She got it all figured out, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Like, how this all happened. Like, and I'm just like, how? She did focus on the 6 minutes the same way you did.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But that's only there's several points of the timeline where we're depending on timing that may not exactly exist. I am still not convinced that the gunshot witness that heard the gunshots, I am still not convinced he actually heard the gunshots of Paul Caneiro shooting Keith.
So there's somebody else out there shooting at 2:30
No,
in the
because
morning?
they do, because people do, because of the echo and everything. It could have been anything. Like, and I'm not so sure about the timing, and I'm not so sure about I definitely not about it was exactly 4:30 witness Miss Cab. No, it wasn't. Because you remember the first thing I said was they knocked on the door. It was probably fire department. And if it wasn't the fire department, it was definitely some good Samaritans trying to get people out of the house. Because no way, if you're setting the fire, like you said, do you knock on the front door?
Yeah.
And who carries a fire extinguisher around the side of the house if you're the one who said it?
Right.
Come on, really, seriously.
Well, Mr. Decker put that to bed in his closing.
Oh, thank God for the video, right? He's like, this is exactly what she said she saw. And isn't it funny that it matches the first responders, not at 4:30, but at 5:08 or whatever it was. Like, I was like, Decker's brilliant. They're brilliant.
Yeah. Yeah, I thought so too.
It's good they got to go second, because not for us that had to listen, he went longer than Monica, didn't he? Is he past 3.5 hours now?
He did. He was 2.5, and then another. I've got a cat sitting on my notes, but then another 3. 3. Yeah, he went 5.5 hours.
Yeah, and I think that is because of her actually getting really deep into the Corey scenario, and that he wasn't going to do that, but then he had to do that because a lot of that seemed winged to me, like he was just covering it. But the Caneiro, the Corey Caneiro scenario itself, just being able to address all the fantastical things she said, and he just went on and on. Oh, so Corey did this, and like, how did he do this? And well, if anything, it just means that he would have been, if anything that she said is true, Monica Messalone, it just makes him an accomplice. It still makes Paul guilty as anything, because he couldn't have done it himself.
Right. And she kept kind of going back to that. Paul had, there were 2 people, and that just, again, she's not saying my client is innocent, even though she did say that several times, but he had an accomplice. Like, there's no, like, we're pretty sure that Paul turned off the DVR. I think we all have eyes. We all saw that. There's no reason to do that. There's no reason to lie to the police, that, law enforcement, multiple times right out the gate. We know that it was your SUV that left your house. So who would be driving that? And then she's trying to put into the jury's minds, oh, we don't know how many people. I think it was Andy Murray was like, we don't know how many people were in that SUV. We don't know if that SUV stopped. So who else would be driving Paul's SUV from his
A rental SUV with only one key, by the way.
Yeah, yeah. So I mean, she kept trying to say, "Oh, it's not my client," but there's two people, more than two people. There's a knife and a gun. So that must mean there's two people. She never really once disputed that it was Paul per se. She just kind of kept saying, "Well, maybe Paul had help." So I didn't find that argument very helpful at all. Meaning. She kept saying there was multiple people, and Paul was one of those multiple people. I mean, he had
to be, because why else would he turn off the cameras unless he's hiding himself and an accomplice to his actions?
Yeah.
So either way, so she really didn't do herself any favors with that 2 theory, and they're counting on Heather Cap so much with 430. And like I said, just how absolute she was about the time. And the same thing with the gunshot guy. Like, he's not absolute about the time, and she was all over that, but she's willing to accept that this woman said it was 4:30 and it was 4:30. Like, that's it, Like, so if the gunshots did happen, I just don't know about the timing. The timing. And here we are trying to do a timeline based on these scenarios, and I think that there's a lot of wiggle room in the timeline. I don't think we're talking about only 6 minutes to run around the kitchen. I really don't. I think the fire was set, some of it, ahead of time. I really do. I think he just had to do the final step and run out of there. I just makes sense to me. Okay.
So you think so that's after they were killed or before they were killed? That he
I think some of the preparation on the fire stuff, there had to be a good plan beforehand. I mean, because I'm trying to figure him going down into the basement, cutting all the Verizon lines, and then setting the fire there. Now, he would have to rummage around for things to use. He would have to make a little thing. He's trying to make a slow burning one. How did he get everything down there? The incinerary thing, he would have to at least know what it was he was going to use, what was laying around. And I didn't hear any testimony about what was in, well, there's not much left in that area, but of what could have been used. You know what I mean? So we don't have any of that to go by. So without it, I'm just left with the option of planning. Like, some of it had to be done ahead. And who better, not Corey, but like they did say that Corey had been in the basement. Yes, he knows something about it, but Corey's not the one who installed every single system in that house. Corey's not the one who's there for every holiday all the time and knows that house inside out and all of the occupants' behaviors, like what they normally do and how they do it,
Sure. Here's a thought. When do we know, and I don't recall, but maybe you will, was Paul over at Keith's house that weekend before? And he was kind of, if he was really planning this, he may have, put some gas down there or some, acetate or something in the basement, knowing that he was going to go there. He may have been over there, that Saturday or Sunday and, put a can of gasoline in the basement. And Keith didn't even know about it. There's some, what do you think about that?
There's some credence to it, I think. I do.
Like if you really, really wanted to set it up, or even just a little bottle of acetate, or acetone, maybe. I think it's acetone. Yeah.
I think that's actually very plausible.
Paint thinner is flammable. Yeah.
They're all very, very flammable.
Yeah.
But still, it's like getting there. And then where Jennifer's body bothers me about that. Like, I think some of this had to be said before. Like, was he in the basement in Jennifer discovered him there, like coming down the stairs, and he came up the stairs and shot her? Or did he meet her at the top of the stairs when he came in after Keith? Like, I still have questions. I keep wafting back and forth with that. And I don't know if we're ever going to know. I don't.
No, we won't, unless Paul, unless Paul says, or I also was thinking, would Jennifer's body have been moved at all? Because she was so burned, there's no, blood marks, because she may have been in
that area. There would have been blood. There is blood that they found in that area, even though it was damaged.
Underneath
so if he moved the body, even on the wall, even on, like, remember, that's like before the kitchen. So Like there is still some blood evidence that survived
On
just
the wall.
from that doorway to the basement, just past Sophie Caneiro is the stairs going up, like the stairs going up, and blood evidence survived there, and also on that door jamb, the going in like towards the kitchen. So I would think if he dragged her, some of that evidence would have survived. It wouldn't have been in good condition, but it would have been available as a smear, a
Yeah.
damaged smear, something. I think we would have saw something of it.
Right. And it doesn't make sense. Like I thought that I'm like, cause she's on her back, which is kind of weird. Jesse's on his left side. I think Sophia, was she on her back too? I don't.
She, the way I picture it, I think that she was like on her way up the stairs and like fell. That kind of accounts for a little bit of the cheek bruising and stuff that she hit. Like
Right.
it looks like there, like she was attacked there, like she might have been kicking him on the stairs towards the landing.
Right.
It does. I mean, that man was so upset when he's describing the body. I do believe she was on her side.
Yeah, I don't
think. But
yeah.
Jennifer being on her back is really sus to me.
Yeah, right. Because
I picture she's coming up the stairs and he shot her, she would be face first.
Or she would fall back. She would fall back.
Right. But if she fell back, that means, and that kind of leans credence to Paul's already in the basement setting the fire because he's coming up the stairs as she's coming down and he shot her.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And then he had to climb over her body to go get the kids. And that just blows me away.
Right.
I'm just like, really? I mean,
right.
That and the fact that he shot Keith the way he shot him in the head when he was already on the ground. It just blows me away.
And then to add to that, to then go stab Jennifer in the back, the abdomen. So then there's that. Why, if she's on her back already, why stab her on the back? That doesn't make sense.
And how?
And
if she already shot her, did he lift her up? Like, did he what?
Right.
Yeah.
There's definitely some questions. Unless he stabbed her first and then shot her in the head.
That doesn't make any sense because he got the knife in the kitchen where the kids are.
And maybe she's in the kitchen. Then there's that. Maybe
no way. There's no way he was attacking those kids running around like crazy and she wasn't in the kitchen too. If she heard that from any place in the house, she would have been in that kitchen and it would have been an even worse scene. I mean, come on, she's a mom. Like, really?
No. I'm just saying maybe all three of them are in the kitchen and
she runs out of the kitchen while her kids are getting attacked? No way.
No
way.
Yeah.
No, she wasn't in the kitchen when the kids got attacked. There's no way that would have happened.
Right.
Her blood would have been everywhere and Paul would have been a lot more hurt than he was.
Right. No, that's true. It does make sense that she was shot as he's either coming in the front door or he's in the basement. That makes sense to me.
I'm now leaning. I always was leaning towards the front door because she would have been coming up the stairs if she heard the shot, right?
Yeah.
But now, like, the more that the ME talked about the placements of the body, the more I went back to the testimony of how they found the positions of the bodies. Now I have doubt. Now I keep going towards, as I keep mentioning to you, Paul had to have set stuff up in the basement first before he killed the kids, because there's no way he gets out of that house in 6 minutes if he didn't. And so, it just makes more sense with the timing.
So he kills Keith and then goes down to the basement, or he's in the basement first, goes back outside, cuts the lines.
And see, that's where I'm confused because we've got the timing of when Keith is going outside, right?
Yeah.
And then that timing actually works with the gunshots that the caller heard. And so, but I do think that he was in the house before he shot Keith, and I do think he was in the house before he did the kids and before he did Jennifer. He was in the house well before that, because there's that when the biggest time is. Think about it. When is the biggest time? Where is there the most room in the timeline? It's all that time going back and forth to dismantle all the electrical stuff. And there is the doors through the garage. There is the doors all through there. It is dark. He could have gotten to that basement. And I think he did.
Yeah, 16 minutes, right? The 16 minutes.
I think he was setting it all up then. And I think that he ran into Jennifer on the stairs.
Wait a minute. That's before Keith gets shot then?
But here's the thing. If he did do that, that gets the kids upset. Say he shot her. Forget about the knives, right? He shot her coming up the steps. He didn't expect to see her. Keith is already on the way out the door, right? It would take less than a minute to shoot Jennifer, climb over her body, get out that front door, and shoot Keith in the back. And that is what I think happened.
So then where are the kids? Because we thought the kids
in the kitchen screaming, they're freaking out because they just heard gunshots.
Okay, they see,
and it's dark, and they're yelling "mom," and they're yelling this, and they're yelling that, and then he runs back into the house. The gun doesn't work, and he gets the knife, and that's when the 6 minutes of chaos happens.
Okay, so,
but in my scenario, the fire is already smoldering in the basement. He doesn't have to go back into the basement. This makes more sense to me as far as the timeline, because he could definitely have that chaotic scene with the kids and then run out and get out of there, take his clothes off, put them in the bin, and leave. Yes, he could.
All right, I can get my head around this. So let me get this right. So the camera stops recording, power goes out at 2:51, 2:52. Let's just say 2:50. And then Keith starts texting at 3:15. So you think between 2:50 and 3:15, he's downstairs setting the fire?
And outside this, yeah, I do.
I can get with that.
I mean, where else would he be?
And then Keith,
you think he's standing in the bushes just like waiting? Like, no, I don't think so. He's like, no, he's busy. He's been very, very busy for the last hour at his house, all over, no way is he just standing around for it. It just makes more sense to me that he snuck into the house and he knows how.
Well, he knows that Keith is going to come out because Keith says the generator, generator says AC failure. So the only way to fix that is for Keith to go out. But you're right. That's taking a big chance that Keith is going to come out versus, I don't know. I don't know what else Keith could do.
No, he knows Keith's going to come out because, and he was just waiting for the message. Like, he's just waiting for him to come out. But he also had to be very careful. I mean, there is the risk that Keith would have saw him in the basement, because I don't think Keith didn't go into the basement first. I'm sure he did.
He did. He said, I used the manual switch in the basement, but nothing is working. So he definitely was down.
Keith is, I think that Paul is on the property at the time. And I think that, because obviously he's on the property, he's the one that cut the power.
Oh yeah, no, he's definitely on the property. For sure.
So he's definitely on the property, but I think he's in the basement. And I think that Keith Justin hasn't seen all the other stuff yet. Like, and the last thing he had to do was cut the Verizon thing. That's why the Verizon thing isn't cut while Keith is going outside, and why we have the delay.
Right.
He has to wait until Keith leaves the basement.
So do you okay? And then he didn't set the fire because Keith would have smelled the smoke if he had started the fire at 3.
Exactly. Whatever. So he waits till Keith leaves, goes upstairs, right? Jennifer's got the kids in the kitchen. Okay. Keith goes upstairs, heads outside. Now he lights the fire. Doesn't realize Jennifer's going to come down to handle whatever with Keith back and forth with their phones. And he runs into her on the stairs, and then he runs out and he shoots Keith.
Right.
That makes it just makes sense. To me, it just fits. It just accounts for that tightness at 6 minutes, that big gap of time where he's supposedly not doing anything. I don't know about that.
So Jennifer gets shot first.
It could be. Unfortunately they can't tell us who gets shot first, because bullets don't have numbers on them when they go into the chamber.
Yeah, I can get behind that. I can get behind that. The only thing then I would be like, then why stab her in the back if you've shot her in the head? She's probably,
all she had to do is make one sound and he would
gurgle once or whatever.
If she gurgled, if she had some kind of reflex, whatever he's not leaving anybody alive to tell the story. That's for sure.
No, I get that. And then this is where I'm like,
and if that bullet didn't actually kill her, and she heard anything that was going on in the house, we're talking screaming, blood curdling sounds from those children. Don't you think she would have been making noise or trying to get up?
Yeah.
And maybe that's how he stabbed her in the back, because she actually was trying to get up, and that's how he had access to her back to stab her.
Wow. Can you imagine? She gets shot. There's 4 fragments. I think it was her right side, right? 4 fragments in her brain. And you think she's still, oh my God, that's just,
Well, they were fragments, number one. In number two, we do know people that get shot, like that have like bullets actually in their head that are still alive. So
yeah, that's true.
anything can happen. And we're also talking adrenaline and a mom here in a crisis. Like
Yeah.
weirder things have happened.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow. Just wow.
I mean,
All right. So Jennifer
having
was,
people picked up whole automobies off of people with
yeah.
adrenaline
Yep. Yep.
in car accidents, and they don't
Yeah.
even know where they got. Like weirder things have happened. But
Yeah.
the sad part is, like, we could speculate all we want. We might never ever know until like some
I
great
know.
documentary comes out, and maybe maybe I'll get some money for some rights of my fantastical story here. But I don't know.
Well, we'll never truly know until Paul, if indeed it was him, which seems like it was, if he talks, but he probably will never say anything. I don't think he'll say anything. But you never know. You never know. All right, so I can get behind that. I never really thought about that. I thought Jennifer would be.
Well, you got me thinking about it when you kept asking me about the 6 minutes. Like, how can all that happen in 6? And where? And what about all this? And what was he doing for all that time? And I'm like, I really got to figure it out. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I always thought that she would be in the kitchen setting the kids up with, like you said, cookies and milk or whatever. Then she goes downstairs maybe to look at something, and then she's coming up the stairs. She hears gunshots, and she's coming up the stairs. I was okay with that theory. And he shoots her. Then he looks into the kitchen, goes after the kids. But in your theory, she shot first. Again, she hears something in the basement, or she's in the basement, or whatever near the basement. She shot first.
And honestly, that changed when we heard the medical examiner's testimony that Keith was definitely shot in the back from behind. All shots from behind, which eliminates any wrestling, any fighting back, anything.
Right.
So it means Keith's coming out the front door and going around, which means Paul's coming from that direction to shoot him in the back.
Yeah.
He had hiding over there or coming out the front door. So it kind of makes sense that he did shoot Jennifer first.
Yeah. All right. I can.
And that's why he made so many shots quickly at Keith.
Now remember the neighbor heard pop, 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 and then a pause and then another pop, but
that could have been the one in the ground.
Yeah.
Because he's down now. He stands over the body, shoots him in the head.
And then he goes back to take care of the kids. The gun's jammed, whatever happens, then he's got to improvise. Jesse may have the knife to protect himself, or he just grabs the knife or whatever. Yeah. Oof, absolutely terrible. All right, let's get to some questions. Actually, I think we did closings. We can get to jury instructions in a bit if you want to talk about that. But you okay answering?
I'll answer any questions you want. As far as jury instructions, that is just the only thing I really had to say about that is that that's standard in New Jersey, that they're really long and involved. They go over the whole trial and all of the charges and every little piece of it, the expert witness, everything.
Yeah. I don't mind the charges. I thought the charges, that's kind of standard. What I found interesting, he goes over all the exhibits of what's going back and what's not going back.
Because so they know what they can have and what they can't have. And so that the questions come up then and not later. And so, like, the worst thing you want to do is be saying back and forth. You can't, them asking for things repeatedly that they just can't have.
Right.
So in the state of New Jersey, remember we were talking about how long it took for Petrozelli to get the acquiring of the evidence on record. The chain of custody for the evidence is very important. This is how they do it in New Jersey. And the only evidence that comes into trial, whether presented or not, is that which is approved by the court, which means the court says it's reliable. It actually pertains to the case and they can have it. So even though the state or the defense may have presented evidence, it doesn't mean it's going to be part of deliberations for the jury or something they can consider tangible. And that's
it makes sense. Yeah. I've never seen that before, but it totally makes sense because you're right. Then the jury goes back and they're like, hey, how come we don't have this? And then they have to stop. Then, oh, hey, what about this? And it definitely makes sense.
Use the text message, for instance. It was in the trial. They know it exists, right? They know that they talked about it and everything, but they don't get to see it. They don't get to have it. They're not even, they can only go by what they heard and what they remember for that. It's not going to be, because he says it's not like actually, it's a point of contention, so to speak, between the defense and the state, and it's not going to be part of the physical evidence of the case.
Right. Yeah. No, I'm glad that I saw that. I wish more judges would do that. All right, Carol, I forgot. Can the alternates discuss the case in their room? And no, they can't. And on top of that, if they do get pulled in off the sidelines into the game, if you will, they have to start deliberating all over again, because they can't just
they have to bring them up to speed and say where they're at, and they get the chance to either agree or disagree. So it depends on where that person is with the evidence and everything.
Right. But if they're deliberating for 3 days and then somebody can't make it in on day 4, they bring in an alternate. They got to stop.
Yeah, if the alternate says, I want to see this, I have doubts about this, they've got to bring them up to speed. They've got to let them see the evidence. They've got to let them ask the questions. Yep,
right.
absolutely.
So you're essentially kind of starting all over again, but not quite, but kind of, yeah. So
I don't think we will be with this jury, to tell you the truth.
We'll get to that. We'll get to your thoughts on how long they'll deliberate at the end. C. Gilmore, what is your view on Monica withholding evidence? We kind of talked about that, but we'll revisit this. What do you think about that?
I'm disappointed in Monica Mastalone, thinking she could get away with it just because her law firm is on state versus tier. To actually try to use that for physical evidence was a stretch and a half, and I think she knew it.
Yeah.
I don't think she knew that this judge was going to be because it went her way the first time, that she could actually get the question in.
Yeah.
I don't think, she really thought it through. I think she thought she was protected with her. It was just last night, 24 hours routine, and she wasn't. She wasn't. The judge doesn't care if you found out 15 minutes before they testify. It is your obligation to turn over discovery at any point, even live trial, anything. Right, even right up to anything. If something happened now while they're going to deliberation, she'd still be responsible to turn it over. It's crazy.
She had no problem calling sidebars at any given point in the trial. She could have very easily said, even as Katie's walking up to the stand, she could have been like, "Judge, I need a sidebar. I was just literally handed this to me. What do you want to do?" I mean, yeah, you're right.
That's the thing. She did have a sidebar right before, because she knew she was going to talk about this, and she told them, like, orally, she told me about this, and we're going to talk about that message being read. And they were like, what? But here's the problem that the judge had, and why he's so mad, in my humble opinion, is that if she had the nerve to come up there with a sidebar before she even questioned Katie and let them know that she's going to talk about this read message, she knows there's a copy of that message and it's in her damn phone right at that moment. And she didn't turn it over. That's the judge's issue. That's what makes it such a violation.
Yeah. That is playing dirty. That's playing dirty.
It was really dirty and desperate. And you know what? She's a good lawyer. She didn't need to do that. That makes all this other stuff that she was doing very sus to me. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the state had right to be upset, even though they were pretty calm about it in their arguments. I thought.
I'm sure they left it up to the judge to do what he would do. There's really nothing they can do but squawk. Yeah. And as they're watching Monica do nothing but squawk during the whole trial and watching the jury's reaction to it, why would they do anything?
Yeah.
Sharon
says, what do you think about Paul getting family out of the car when being questioned in the rain? Yeah. What do you think about that? It's raining, and he's getting questioned by law enforcement, but he has his family get out of the car. What do you think about that?
First of all, why did they get out of the car? Like,
he asked them to, right? Didn't he tell them? He told them to get out, I thought.
I know, but like, why, like, it's raining. Why didn't they push back? And I mean,
they had an umbrella, right? I think Susan had an umbrella, if I remember correctly, but
I guess he wanted support. I don't know.
He wanted them out of the car. He wanted them out. He wanted that if you wanted support, you would say stay in.
No, I mean, like, he wants support later, so he doesn't want to hear the kind of questions that they're going to ask him, because he's starting to realize they suspect him.
Yeah, it was weird.
And he has to act dumb to law enforcement about things that they know he knows about. Look at his daughter's face when he doesn't remember the DVR. Like,
that's true. That's true. Oh, he's gonna lie. Maybe that's why he's gonna lie.
Of course he's gonna lie.
Yeah.
That's the one thing I'm positive about. Like, he lied. He definitely lied.
That's true. Yeah, because Susan could be like, "What are you talking about? You didn't do that." Or Katie would,
or any
like,
daughter. But Dad,
Dad,
didn't you tell me the Wi-Fi was all fixed? Like, when
right.
he keeps complaining, like, you told me it was fine yesterday. Like, any innocent comment would have thrown him under the bus.
That's true. That's
and
true.
He needs the family support. Like, he doesn't want to look bad in their eyes. I mean, look.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, look at how he tried to schmooze up Susan in that phone call. Like, after,
right.
Yeah.
She was having none of it.
Oh, shit.
Pammy says, do you think the jury will connect the fire being set under Susan's bedroom and Paul allowing her to go back inside?
Even though Katie tried to dismiss that by saying, no, it was technically under the bathroom, the master bath, not the master bedroom. Which is all part of the same suite. So sorry, not sorry.
It was still way too close. That was way too close to Mom.
It's the closet. It's right. It's next to her closet, not her bedroom. Like, it's. I don't think so.
Come on, Katie. Come on, Katie.
Yeah, come on.
Yeah, and she went back inside for shoes and dog leashes. And I'm like, when she said that, I'm like, what are you doing? Who goes back inside a burning building for shoes? Dog leashes, maybe, but.
And why were they so calm about it?
Yeah. Mom went back in for dog leashes and shoes. Now, Mom, what are you doing? No, she just went back in. That's crazy.
Oh, it's insane. It absolutely is. Like, they were all so calm. It makes me wonder how much all of them knew about it.
Yeah, I agree. Aussie Gardner, how do we get past the no blood in the car? Yeah, we've talked about this a lot. So,
because he's a crafty devil. Now that I know that it's for freaking rental, I'm sure he put a sheet or plastic over that seat. There's no way he's going to have them get the whole thing like impounded and destroyed because they found blood in the car and have to pay the fines in the cleaning. No way. No way.
Yeah. He had multiple gloves on, right? He had at least but 2 or 3 pairs of gloves on. So he's just.
I figure he put new gloves on to drive the car, and he's either in his boxer shorts or naked as he drives home. Absolutely.
That's crazy. But yeah.
All I know is that all the evidence is in one nice little plastic bin in the back of that car. There's no doubt in my mind that's where it is, because those dogs don't lie. Those dogs are very specific. Agreed.
Sally asks, I don't recall anyone questioning if Corey's wife drove him.
Corey's wife did not drive him. She said there was somebody who said in the beginning that Corey's wife went to the scene later and actually said that Corey, like, they could talk to Corey, but he was taking the children to Pennsylvania, that he had talked to Paul, gave him the details, but that she had been home with the kids while Corey went to Paul.
Right. Actually, Caitlyn called Corey. Alyssa answered, gave the phone to Corey, and then, she did not drive him.
She did not drive him. She was home with the kids. I mean, it's like 5-something in the morning. They're not going to,
Right. Do you know how old their kids are and how many they have? Do you have any idea?
I think they were younger than Keith's.
Okay. That makes sense, because there is that age difference of, Corey is 8 years younger, so that makes sense.
But Corey's been with his wife as long as Caitlyn's been alive, so 20-some years. So.
Okay, that's right. Yeah, that's right. Jennifer, who was the third number on that thread? Okay, yeah, we kind of talked about this with that screenshot. That was Echo Star, you think? Is that what it was?
No, Echo Star, they definitely traced one of them to an Echo Star number. The other one was an 848 number, which is in New Jersey, is a cell phone digits. Okay. 848 is the cell phone extension of mostly Verizon. So I don't know. I don't know whose it is. Nicole Wallace didn't say whose it was, and Caitlyn just doesn't know anything about it.
Right. Interesting.
You know who knows? Paul.
I was going to say Paul. He would be the only one, probably.
I do know it belongs to whoever got that phone message read, maybe. Now that's another thing.
Mhm.
Like,
What?
could it be the exchange of the Wi-Fi in Corey's house? Would it attach a phone number to it, the Wi-Fi system? If Corey went into Jennifer's phone to look at stuff,
Mhm.
could that have attached a number? Yes, maybe. I don't
Mhm.
know. But it
Mhm.
wouldn't attach an Echo Star number. He has nothing to do with the business.
Mhm.
Unless, of course, now, because it's January or February, right?
Mhm.
Now, because it's years later, whatever time it was, he actually is using the wonderful setup of Echo Star's like server network for his own home Wi-Fi.
Mhm.
It could be innocently attached too. I mean, if
Mhm.
I'm going to play the nefarious coin on Paul, I've got to play the innocent side of it too, that everything got attached just because of how they're looking at the messages later through
Mhm.
certain Wi-Fi service connections. But it still would be cookies set up by the system that Paul set up that Corey may not be aware that it's leaving cookies everywhere.
Mhm.
Digital footprints, metadata.
Sure. Sure.
Yeah.
Sure. Okay, Sharon. What do you think Paul or his wife went back for in the garage? This is where Caitlyn saw Paul go to the garage, but he went to back up the.
Well, he wanted to pull the one car out, like, because they
Right.
have his wife's car, right? They want,
Right. Right. The
and
Cayenne.
he loves his cars. That might have been a rental, and that's what really cracks me up. That now that we know it's a rental, that's why that fire went out so quick.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
On that car. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Let's see what else we have here.
But I,
Okay.
I I actually think it was because did they say something about the DVR being in a box? I think it was actually trying to hide the DVR, to tell you the truth, to make it
Oh,
not so obvious.
oh, he went back into the garage to move the cars, but
Mhm.
also to move
Maybe to
move
move
the
some of
camera.
the other things that could damage, his alibi and stuff like that, like the DVR. Yeah.
Right. Jennifer asks, did judge instruct the jury about the iPad? Yes, I can answer that
Mhm.
question. Yep, that was a stipulation that was agreed upon by both parties. Let's see here. Sharon, do you think if Paul gave Jesse the iPad, was he privately spying on what was being said in Keith's home? Oh, that's interesting. Yeah, why would you, if we're going to go down that path, why would you give a 10-year-old, 9-year-old, 10-year-old, 11-year-old, why would you give them an iPad that
With
you
a
could track?
tracking device.
Yeah. What other
Mhm.
reason why would you do that? We've seen that before. We've seen that before where people give uh, electronic devices to people and then they end up putting
Okay.
spyware on there. And yeah,
True.
yeah.
But in all fairness, maybe it's not spyware. Maybe it's because of this brilliantly technical web service that, Paul has through EchoStar servers and everything, and that
Hmm.
it's just accessing the internet and the web and all through that, and
Hmm.
that's what's making it a location thing.
Hmm.
Because I don't really. When Caitlyn got questioned about these she never says what kind of app it is.
Hmm. No, she doesn't. Yeah.
I don't think it exists. I think this is information she was fed by her father to help frame Corey, and that she's just relaying it and she believes it, but she really doesn't know that much about it. She doesn't sound that knowledgeable on the whole process. And I
Hmm.
think if she was further questioned about the iPad by Nicole Wallace, that would have all become very, very evident,
Hmm.
because they would have got asked. But it didn't come in, so we
Hmm.
didn't get the answers. But I actually don't think she had them. She didn't have them about the text message. I doubt she has them about the iPad. I do think that this was a failed attempt at trying to witness tampering and
Hmm.
actually feeding Caitlyn information that she just is willing to put out there because she believes it.
Right. Yeah.
Okay.
No, it could be. Yeah, you're right. It could be dad's just saying, hey, you know what? Yeah, Corey's iPad, well, however it worked out. Yeah. Yeah. I
Mhm.
can see that. I can see that.
Yeah.
Let's see. Sharon is asking a lot of questions. I love it. Sharon, do you think Monica fought dirty with knowledge from former employee? She definitely brought it up twice. That Jersey versus Tier. She brought that up, and that was her firm or whoever she was associated with that.
Right, because she was right. Anything Caitlyn was going to say, she didn't actually have to disclose. But physical evidence, she does. I mean, tier, state versus tier is actual precedent, and it does stand. And she does work, that is her law firm. So she was very knowledgeable of it, but she's stretching it to a point that the judge correctly stopped. It does not apply to where she wanted to put it. And so she doesn't get, I think, was she trying to tout the prestige a lot? If that's what you mean, maybe, but the judge knows the law better than any attorney in that room. It's his job to know both sides of the law and to apply it to both the defense in the state, in the case, actually, for justice, to keep justice on track with what the law actually says. And that's why he was so upset, because it was like, yeah. I think, because she knew, yeah. It's especially because it's her law firm. As a matter of fact, she didn't do her law firm any justice by having it come under scrutiny this way, being used this way. It's actually, she didn't do them any favors, and I would expect she'll hear from them also.
Yeah. Good point. This is an interesting question by Sharon. Is that why money was sent to Greece to Caitlyn? We know Keith was building a house in Greece, right?
Right. And they all vacationed together.
Yeah.
Keith brought the Paul Caneiro's family with him to Greece. They were Jennifer's family has a home there. So all they have to do is get tickets and stuff, and they've got a place to stay and all, and it's a beautiful place. And they were there several times. And if Caitlyn received money there, it's because she was there and she needed it for expenses or whatever. This is why she had a separate Sims car. It wasn't unusual for them to travel there for a vacation. I mean, if you had the opportunity, wouldn't you? If it was,
Absolutely. Yeah. If all you have to do is spend $1,000 on an air ticket or air plane, sure.
Exactly. The money going over to Greece was never hidden. It was used to redo stuff and to build stuff. And, there wasn't anything nefarious about it, except for they used it to show that Keith moved money around between business accounts for personal reasons. And every business owner does it. I mean, it doesn't make it right. You should dot the I's and cross the T's. But many times you move money from this place to another place to do things.
Sure. Jadzia Dax, this is with, I guess, Paul when he found out. When did you ever hear of someone fall off a chair forward onto their knees? I guess you're referring to when he was told, or that was Marissa's testimony, right?
Yeah, she said that he fell forward off the chair and he was collapsed and crying on the floor, and she held him. Yeah. I think he may have put on a tear show for her, but I think it was more like it was hitting him, the things that he has said and the questions that they're asking.
This is a good question, C. Gilmore. How are the public defenders chosen in that area of New Jersey?
I think it's like in other places. It's like everybody has to give time. And it's like either your number's up or you just were walking by the judge when he had to pick. There you go.
Right.
Yeah. That's usually how it goes. They do have a number system like everybody has to do. And there's like a group of them at any given time that, they call it catching the case. And yeah.
Right. Ambi, is the time or lack of time limit up to the judges or the state? That's a good question too.
You know what? In most states, the judge can.
They probably talk about it, I would think, right? I'm sure the judges that talk to the attorneys and say, all right, guys, what do you think? You want a time limit? Do you not want a time limit? That kind of, right? I would think that they would have open dialogue between them.
Yeah. I had notes on this. It is definitely in New Jersey still judicial discretion. They have the authority to limit opening and closing statements, because I guess he just allowed them the time, since he did say that the trial would go till March 20th, that they had plenty of time, no matter how long they went to wrap up on time. They could have wait another week and we'd still be ahead of schedule.
That's true. That is true. Let's see. Jennifer asks, do you think Paul might have gotten away with it if he left his clothes in Keith's house to burn? There's a couple.
there was more damage in Keith's house. It would have been if he left them in the basement, yeah. And then he walked out naked. He left everything there and walked out naked, yeah. But remember, he had to set a slow burning fire because he wanted his house to burn first. He didn't want them to know about what was going on there. He needed to get back to Ocean to set that on fire, to get back in bed, to play the innocent, you know. And so that took time. That took at least an hour. So he's setting up a slow burning fire. And then with a slow burning fire, there's also the chance that it smolders itself out.
Yeah, then there's that.
And then what if the evidence didn't get burned? I guess it was a catch-22. He thought it was better to actually set his house on fire. Remember, where he set that fire is where they found the stuff, like between the bedroom and the well and the basement. That part of the basement would have really got damaged if they didn't put it out so quick. The only thing bad is that his house didn't get as much damage as he would have liked. If it had gone another hour, it would have been much more damage, and there possibly would not be any DNA on any of those clothes because they would have been incinerated.
Right.
But because his family was there and he's got to get out, you know.
It's risky all the way around, to be quite honest, because you're right. That fire at Keith's house could have gone out. And how do you set a smoldering fire in the hopes that it's going to catch fire in an hour from now, 2 hours from now, 3 hours from now? I mean, that's pretty risky, you know?
Yeah.
It's very risky.
Yep.
Let's see. Jennifer, how many different calibers are available? Being Paul had so many, could he also have so many calibers that could be on hand that happens to match up?
Actually, you know, that's a good question because the way I understand it, the ammunition doesn't designate the tool marks, the gun does.
Yeah, it's coming out of the barrel. Yeah.
So it only becomes like a perfect match when you match everything up, like the gun and the ammunition against like the spent casings. That's why I was saying perfect match. But even if they didn't have the exact ammunition, it would have left the same tool marks that they could match up. This just seemed more perfect because it was like more exact. But it could have been any, because they do say if it's the same diameter. Remember they had that question. There were two different diameters, a 38 and a 350, whatever. I don't remember the exact numbers, but there were two different. And we asked somebody in the chat, and it happened to be one of my members, Liam Wakefield, who knows a lot about guns. And he said, yes, both of those bullets could have been fired through that same gun because it matches like within the limits of the diameter, and that's what matters.
Yep.
So there are, short answer is yes. Different calibers amongst the same other things, the other variants that pertain, if they are close enough, can actually be shot from the same gun. Yes, different calibers can come out of the same gun.
Right. Yeah, I'm just looking here. So there's common handguns are 9mm, 45, 40, 38, 357. We've heard all of those.
Well, wasn't it the 338 and the 357 that they were talking about? Different? Yes, those are the two numbers.
Yeah. And then rifles are 22, of course, 223 Remington, Winchester. Doesn't say anything about shotguns. So how many different calibers are there? It says hundreds are active, but you know, I guess there's really no exact number.
But if to be used for the same gun, they have to be close enough in caliber to fit.
That's true. Yeah.
The diameter or something.
All right. See, Amanda, are you surprised we didn't hear more about Paul's disability? Yes, that is true. And the tight window of getting away from Keith's property. That's a great question because that would have been, we talked about that in chat. They could have brought in an expert to talk, a physical therapist, his doctor.
Could they?
Why not?
Could they?
Yeah, why not?
Pre-trial. If you're not going to talk about him defrauding Social Security and disability, then you don't get to use the disability as a defense. Can't have it both ways, Monica.
Okay, so she did argue that in pre-trial. I missed that.
Well, they argued not bringing in the damage information about him defrauding Social Security, being on disability with Social Security, and the fact that he was still working.
Okay.
it's a double-edged sword.
Absolutely.
And
No,
so since they talked about it in pre-trial and she won not being able to bring that part of it in, had she brought in an expert to talk about his disability, the state could have stood up and said, you opened the door and here it comes, baby.
absolutely.
Yes. Oh,
Yeah.
by the way, about that disability, did you
Mhm.
actually tell Social Security you couldn't work anymore? And aren't you going to work every day at EchoStar?
Right. Right.
And especially if they're going to use it as he's so disabled that he can't do anything. Like, you know, the
Right.
state would have came back and they would have won and it would have came in.
Right. But being a defrauder doesn't mean you're a murderer. They could have argued
No,
that as
but
well.
actually bringing in his disability opens the door to talk about it. To
Mhm.
talk about that disability. What is it? And how come you're working every day at EchoStar and you're claiming disability checks? Yes, it opens the door, which is
Oh, for
totally going
sure.
to throw their argument out the window
Yeah.
because he is working every day. You
Right.
can't pretend you can't pretend you're
Yeah.
so disabled. Like, it would have really looked bad for
Mhm.
them, is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
The risk was too great. There's
Understood.
the answer.
Yeah. I mean, he could have been sitting at a desk too and not be able to walk.
Yeah, sure.
I don't know.
Well,
Yeah,
yeah, but he's also going all over the country with his BFF,
that's true.
touring, and he's going to Colombia, like, and those
That's
are long flights. And hey,
yeah,
I mean, how disabled is this rich guy, really?
yeah.
Seriously.
No, you're right. Yeah. No, I mean, you're right about all the points, but we thought about that they could have brought in somebody to talk about that, but you're right. It opens up all kinds of doors, and I'm sure the state would be chomping at the bits to have that door open.
Mm-hmm.
Same with Susan. They wanted Susan to come on the stand so they could cross her. Stand for the truth. Why didn't they make Caitlyn show her actual phone instead of the screenshot?
They had the whole extraction of the phone already in evidence.
Mm-hmm.
And if the text message was going to be entered in as evidence, which it was not allowed,
Mm-hmm.
they would have.
Mm-hmm.
They would have. Because I think she's lying, to tell you the truth.
Mm-hmm.
I think she's lying.
All right, we have a few more here, two more. Jane, did we talk about money while I was away? Say Paul stole 100,000, but he paid back 25. Does he still get charged for stealing 100,000?
The crime is the stealing. You giving it back later doesn't really get away with the fact that you stole it.
He still
It
stole.
wasn't yours to begin with.
And what did you think about, to piggyback on that? One of the charges was the fraud from the trust, and they gave like 4 different tiers. And I think the one I remember was like $200 or less. Do you remember that specifically? I think it was like charge. It was towards the
I
end.
think that they adequately showed over $170,000 of mismanaged funds. And that's just from the trust. So, whether he paid it back or not doesn't mean that he didn't violate. It is actually felony theft.
Yeah.
He was designated as the trustee. The only permissible payments from that account are to the life insurance.
Mm-hmm.
And he paid himself, and it's documented. I mean, it's slam dunk.
Right. Yeah, the fraud for sure. I mean, that's a no-brainer. Dream Horse, didn't they say the fire was set at Keith's in a cedar closet?
In the basement, in the unfinished part of the basement, I think, over near the electrical stuff, because that's why they wanted to make sure that the fire wasn't started by some kind of electrical short, and that's why the power was out.
Yeah.
But I do remember hearing the word cedar, though. Dreamhorse is bringing up something I really need to check.
I have it in my notes for opening. Basement had a cedar closet. That's the origin of fire. Area of interest was cedar lined closet in the basement. That was Michael Abraham, ATF guy.
Mm-hmm.
So
because that was where the most of the damage, like the original start of the damage of the fire. Cedar closet, that's very smoldering to me. There's a lot of oil in cedar wood.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, especially if it was treated. It could have been treated, finished of some sort. So yeah, so it could just sit there and smell. That's really, really taking a gamble that it's going to smolder for as long as you want it to, which what I would assume would only be like an hour or two. I don't know if he, thought, I'm going to have it smolder for 6 hours. I don't know how you could time that. I don't know. So interesting. All right. I think that's it for questions. And Let me get to now how long you think the jury is going to deliberate. What do you
Well,
think?
I had originally thought that if it went to the jury yesterday, that they would take one day to make sure it looked like they did great due diligence. Like they want to do a good job. They take their job seriously. They like this judge. They've got a great relationship with this judge back and forth. You can hear the joking, the bantering. He takes care of them. And they're going to feel obligated to do the best they can for him. So they could say to his face, we looked at everything. This is what they thought.
Mm-hmm.
But I sincerely doubt they're going into that deliberation room without their mind 75% made up.
Mm-hmm.
And I think they're just going to do some due diligence. But now that due diligence is going to at least take all day Friday, and they're going to come in Tuesday morning with a verdict.
Mm-hmm.
I originally thought Friday morning. They would deliberate Thursday,
Mm-hmm.
and they would go home,
Mm-hmm.
make it look good. I did my job. No doubt here. No appeal. We weren't biased. We did what we could. Answered the questions. We were fair. Boom. He's guilty.
Yeah.
Walk in Friday morning and go, we got it, George. He's guilty. But the actual charge slip itself is very long and very cumbersome, and there's multiple steps that they have to go through for the level of charges for each one.
Yeah,
Remember, there are so many charges, and each one has extenuating circumstances added it and lesser charges added to it in multiple steps. That's going to take half a day. Once you decide he's guilty on some of them, just going through that and making sure you go through it adequately is going to take quite a while.
I agree. I think it's going to take them at least half an hour just to go through all the charges. To go through them all, it's going to take a half hour, maybe longer. Because you're right. There's 16, and then at least 3 or 4 of them have like multiple. If he did this, then that. That kind of thing. So, yeah, it's going to take them. I thought that. I think it's going to be 2 days. So it's going to be all day Friday. And then I always think, not always, but I think a lot of times jurors will come to the conclusion, then they'll go, hey, let's sleep on it, and then let's come back the next morning. We've seen that before too. Well,
they have 3 days, a 3-day weekend to sleep on anything they discuss on Friday amongst themselves.
Yeah, I think they're going to take all day Friday. I would be shocked actually if they came back with a verdict on Friday. It could happen, especially if
they don't. I hope they don't, because it's going to. Oh, not that I don't think they know, but I want it to look better so there's less of an issue for appeal.
But even if they get there at 8, he said you get here, you can start at 8:02 as long as all 12 of you are here, and they've been used to getting there at 8 for the entire 18, 19 days now. There's no reason to think that, hey, let's sleep in, let's show up at 10. They'll probably all show up around 8:15, get started, and they've got 7 hours of 8 hours of just
and they get lunch brought in, and they only go during court hours, and then they go home. They're not sequestered, so they get to go home for the 3-day weekend. So you know what? I'm going to change it from first thing Tuesday morning to right after lunch. The verdict comes in on Tuesday. I'm hoping it comes in tomorrow, because I really don't want this hanging over my head for another 5 days. But, just personally, like, I would rather be done with it. It's been for me, this has been long. This has been 7 years. Like, I can't wait for this one to be in the books, done and dusted.
Sure, absolutely.
Where I get to go into my Discord and move it from active, where it's been since I started my channel 5 years ago, and put it in archived, like down here, before I have to move it up to appeal once she files. But
right. This is I thought this was interesting too. Sally, sorry late. Why did the judge pick the foreman? We saw that.
Do.
We saw that in the Karen Reed, and then I think that's the only other time I saw it. Was usually you go back.
No, I've seen it in South Carolina, like Judge Newman did in the Murdaugh trial. He picked the foreman. Sometimes, and because that foreman, that person who wanted to be the foreman actually complained. He said, why aren't the jury allowed to pick? Actually complained to Judge Newman about it. He said, because I'm going to do it. Like, that's why. Because I get to. It's judicial discretionary.
Right. Yeah. All right, we'll do one more question. Jadziadak says, do you think Paul could have been planning this for a long time, and that's why he moved back into the marital home, and the argument with Keith just accelerated the timeline?
They were already arguing since April, and yes, Yes, I do think so, because he's already having an affair. He's already fighting with his brother, and he conveniently moves back home in November before all this happens. Yes, I absolutely think he was planning it. He had to, for everything that he did. He had to. This is not something that he thought of when he went to bed at 6 o'clock at night and then got up and did it all. It just now is the time, because that phone call was Keith going, "Forget it. I don't need your help. Give me the password. I'll figure it all out myself."
Yep. And I'm cutting you off too. He's like, I'm cutting you off. I'm done.
Like, I'm done. Like, he finally said the words that Paul knew he was thinking about, because he must hear like the rumors and stuff. And he knows his brother's looking for a job. He knows his brother's less active and stuff. He knows his brother's pushing hard to sell both businesses, not just the one. Both businesses. And
Paul, your kids are out of school. My kids are just coming, they're 8 and 11. I got to get ready for college for them.
Don't forget, he's got the manager of both businesses. Tiffany worked for both businesses. She was a dual manager for both. She had more access to Paul because she dealt with Paul daily. So she's feeding Paul information of everything Keith's asking for her. If the accountant calls and asks for certain information, who do you think Tiffany's telling? Paul, because he's responsible for all the reporting for both businesses. So she's doing her job, but she's actually feeding him all the information of what everybody else is doing. So he knew all along, since April, all the questions, all the things that are coming up, all the stuff they're looking into. He knows what's going on. Definitely.
And it was April, he wrote that email to them, right? Where he said he was explaining.
Right, he had to admit it. Yeah. But did you also notice that starting in April, he not only did he not pay that money, he never paid another life insurance premium. How do you think he's not planning it if he's not paying the life insurance anymore? He knows Keith gets there. How did Keith find out in April? They sent him a statement that said that they took a loan out to pay the premium. Like, he's going to get notified. So he knows it's all coming to a head, and he stops paying the money because he's hoarding the money because he's making plans. He's also traveling all over the place with his best friend. Like he definitely thinks he's going to be in another country by the end of the year with a whole new life.
Right. And 3 million or 1.5 million, I guess, right? Yeah. Interesting stuff. So, all right. Do you, we'll leave it. Well, two things. I'll let you give us your final thoughts on the trial per se, and then we're going to do a recap after verdict. Are you're good for that?
I am definitely good for that.
Okay.
Like, this has been very pleasurable. I'm
awesome.
honored to be here with you, Chris. I think this is a lot of fun. I love talking about these cases with other people and hearing their other side of it. You always learn something. No matter how much I followed this for all this time, I actually learned stuff from your chat, and you on, you become less biased and less like narrow-minded about it. So you're always learning. And I definitely would come back. I definitely, in a heartbeat.
Cool.
I want to see this end. As far as my closing opinion on the trial, it was exactly what I thought from the defense, because I saw it playing out in the pre-trial. I'm a little disappointed. I mean, the state operated as I thought, because I saw them in pre-trial. I saw everything they were doing. I saw some of the evidence. They even brought out more, like all the I's are dotted and the T's are crossed as far as I was concerned. They kept a lot of it out of the media, and I'm very impressed and proud of them for that. The only parts that hit the media were the stuff we fought about in pre-trial. Okay. But I was disappointed in the defense. I really thought that they would bring more. Monica Mastalone has a wonderful reputation. Andy Murray too. I thought Monica gave it her all. She's very passionate, but that, the pie in the sky stuff with nothing to tie it to, I think they could have done better. I really do. I don't think they did the damage they thought they did. I think most of the things they thought were great points actually worked against them. And it was very evident with their DNA expert.
Yeah, I thought the state ran a really good case, really good trial. I thought the defense at times was just talking circular. Wasn't really going anywhere. Didn't really make any headway with their cross. So you know, we did a deep dive, and we did watch some pretrial. I didn't live it as much as you did, obviously, but I thought overall, to me, I think the state ran a really good case.
I think Monica Messilone's best work was pre-trial. She did everything she could to keep everything out that she could. She did get a lot of testimony limited by scope, which is excellent, in making it come forward to make sure the evidence is solid. But you're right, all that circle stuff, let's just say the defense's style would be a master class in how to make something out of nothing. Because they had nothing.
Yeah.
They don't have a valid alibi. They don't have a credible third party. There's no evidence against him. All they have is the specter of typical defense specter. You guys didn't do your job. You got the wrong guy. And that's it.
And then in law enforcement, trying to poke holes in their
you didn't do a good enough job. You didn't do a good enough job, because they can't say they didn't do a good job. They did. The way that they have everything documented and took care of stuff, and this is 7 years later, and presented an excellent case. There was only one witness that fell over himself, and that was Captain Finnegan, and he didn't really do anything for the defense or the state. Like, he was horrible for both of them. He was just horrible all the way around.
Agreed.
And out of 48, 49 witnesses, to have only one that fell apart after 7 years, like, that's not so bad. That's not so bad at all.
Agreed. And Judge Lemieux, I hope that we get to see him again. I would love to cover another trial with him at the helm.
He's so entertaining, and you will. He's the head of the court in that area. So if it comes to Monmouth County, you probably will see him if it's a high profile case. But
awesome.
He is very good. I love learning about like the judges. The one question I had here that I didn't cross off.
Sure.
Do you think it was purposeful of the state, when they were bringing their law enforcement officers and the fire department and everybody, that they mentioned what they were at the time and what they are now? And almost every single one of them have advanced to much higher degrees in law enforcement. We're talking, I was just an officer now, and now I'm a lieutenant of a whole district. I was just a captain or whatever, and now I run like a whole section. I wonder if that resonated with the jury, because it sure does put holes in Monica Messilone's little law enforcement didn't do their job.
Agreed. No, I agree. And that was probably another side part of the state saying, wow, all these people that 7 years ago were just patrol foot soldiers, if you will. And now you're right. Now they're lieutenants. Now they're
volunteer firemen who are now running the district.
Yeah.
Really? Yeah. Wow. Okay.
See, Jane was on it. Jane thought that a few weeks ago. Yeah. You brought that up too. Claire, you thought that as well. I think maybe like
people do accuse me of being very law enforcement and prosecution, very pro them. And in a way I am, because of my love of the justice system. Like, where does the law lie? It lies with them from the start. Okay. And so I am a little pro them, because like when I see them doing their job as well as they don't, but I do pick it out when they don't. Like, there are things that could be done better, but based on the circumstances. I mean, I'm covering other cases where I am attacking law enforcement. Like right now, I'm covering Mangione, and if you heard that video, no one could doubt I'm not coming on the side of the prosecution at all. It's not that I don't think he did it. I think they're messing up the case.
Okay. We'll definitely have to go listen to that. Chat, be sure to go check out Claire. Claire, do you, let's see, do we have, Aaron, go ahead.
It's kind of easy. It's Claire View 307. Like, that's it. Yeah.
Claire View 307. I know we have a prompt. There it is, Aaron. Yeah. Thank you, Aaron. All right. Let me pull
I appreciate it. Yeah.
There you go. Yep. Claire View 307. Definitely go subscribe, listen. Claire gives some great videos. You have a fantastic, wide, let's see, I don't want to say wide,
broad, eclectic.
Broad, yes. You have a lot of
very eclectic.
Yes, and my great knowledge.
My true crime right now is mostly video, because I am not able to go live. It used to be live all the time. Now it's mostly video. just getting my feel for that, and I'm kind of liking it. So if you do check it out, guys, let me know what you think. Like, meet me in the comments, like pro or con. I want to hear it. Like, yeah.
Absolutely. That's what I have to get better with that, because I watch it, but then I don't comment. That's the one thing I have to get better at that. So
you know what? I'm guilty too. Like, I watch a lot of stuff and nobody ever sees me in the comments.
No, and it's so easy just to say replay crew or something like that. But I want to say more than that. I want to like give an intelligent dissertation, and then I'm like, yeah, no, I did watch it though.
I get a lot of questions. Like, I got questions on DNA and stuff. Like, I was happy with the questions I got during this coverage. Like, it was good. Not a lot, just enough to know that some people are paying attention and were curious. So that was good.
Right. Right. All right. All right. Are you going to be in our chat tomorrow at all, or what are your plans?
I probably will, since I don't have to be recording or anything. I'll probably be making a ruckus in there. Like,
all right. Sounds good. Well, we're going to be dual streaming tomorrow. We're going to pick up on that Georgia versus Colt Gray. Are you familiar with that? His son Colin shot up the school.
Yes. This is about parents being charged for what children are doing. And like, I actually think in some instances, this might be good moving. The reason I know this is going to be a precedent-setting case.
Absolutely.
Okay, absolutely. Yep. And so I'm into it because it's going to change law, and I want to see it happen, because I do think this area law does need some changes. Yeah,
this will be historic. There's no question about it. Crumbly is, what was it? Crumbly, right? Was that their last name out of Michigan?
Crumbly did. That was the first one. Like, I didn't do it publicly, but I followed that privately to get a feel for it. And I do believe that the charging and all was accurate there. I'm not so sure of the father in this case. I'll just tell you that right out. I don't think he's as responsible as the Crumblies were.
Okay. I kind of miss Crumbly. I mean, it was sort of in the background, and I was aware of it. I saw a little bit. I think the mom.
Long story short, they were fully aware of his mental disorders and chose to do nothing about it. They were even called into school and addressed it about it, and they did nothing. Yeah. They did absolutely nothing. Now they're crying foul because they're being looked at too. Like, you didn't do anything. You actually gave him the opportunity, and the mother actually went out of her way to cover some of it. Like, he's actually threatening her, like not threatening to do things. And she's not doing anything about it. And she actually left him with exposure to the ability to do it. Like, the weapon and everything. Like, didn't take it serious enough. She's too busy doing other things, I think it was appropriate to charge her for, they should have a law against bad parenting, but they called it a lot of other things. But basically, that's what it was. Yes. That's what it was.
Some people should not be allowed to reproduce, right? We've heard that before.
Yeah, but it's hard to defend. You don't know your son's having mental issues when the school actually calls you in about it.
Yeah.
And you have a meeting about it, and now you're claiming you know nothing. Right. And you got text messages the day of with your son.
Right. Didn't he have a book or something? Did he have a book too or something like that?
So there's, I don't know,
a journal or something.
In that way, like, you don't always know what your kid's writing in a journal, but you damn well know what he's text messaging you on a daily basis in the phone calls, right? Yeah. All
right. All right. Well, with that, we will let you go, and we'll see you in chat tomorrow.
Yeah, and I'm going to check out your coverage of Colt, because I'm really interested in it. Awesome. It's a great case. Yeah. Okay. Right, cool. Have a good night, everybody.
Take
Bye.
Care. All right. Bye. All right. Thank you, Claire, again for joining us for these weekly recaps. That was week 5, and we will definitely reconnect again post-verdict. So we'll go over the verdict and get reactions and all that stuff. So thank you guys for joining us. Thank you to our mods. Thank you to Erin for doing all the background work that she does, and really appreciate you guys spending your evening with us. 7:30 here on the East Coast, so I'm going to say goodbye, and join us tomorrow. We will be dual streaming tomorrow, so we're going to pick up at 8:15 with New Jersey versus Paul Caneiro, and we'll be in verdict watch, so we'll just replay past testimony, so you guys can hang out there and talk, and then we'll be streaming on another computer. We're going to do a deep dive into this Colt Gray trial, which is coming up on Monday. That starts on Monday. Even though it's President's Day, they're still going to start on Monday. We keep checking. And right now, all the news reports are saying, yes, they are going to start the trial, even though it's President's Day. So deep dive tomorrow on Colt Gray, verdict watch for Paul Caneiro. So with that, you guys have a fantastic night, and thank you for joining us. And again, thank you, Claire, and we'll see you guys tomorrow. Okay, bye. And